A man, Lord, Machiavelli production. Brotorius, M.A.D. Lil Chad and Slender Dad vibing straight, busting no cap. Friday night screen lit, fame hitting our lap. Culture thick, no yeet from the trap. YouTube grind, minds locked in, so we adapt. Brahma bull cackling loud, bourbon on the rocks, scheming like the GOAT. Comedy unlocks, mad shit smoke, cold as ice, won't fold. YouTube legend verdicts drip sharp like a judge's code. Skirt, skirt that, skirt tat that. Ascending crew, let's get it. Stack them racks, laughs hit diffy. Dumb fates can't match these facts. Popcorn, popping chill vibes, brew sipping slow. Prime time screens live, we slap, we glow. Now that we're pulling up clean, double the cup of the lean. Shit supreme from the H to the Bay. Third ward holding it down. Crew lights the fuse, blazing wild, no snooze. Voices boom loud, screens popping, set the cruise. Grind levels up, shine hits, claim that juice. Rise quick, savage, laughter high, can't lose. Put a skirt that. Skirt tat that. We here to break the mold, eat the basic behind, with tales that slap and laughter intertwined. A quest to marvel where drip defies. In this lit realm, only passion flies. Skirt, skirt that. Skirt tat that. Ascending squad goes hard, blazing trails we pursue. Laughs hit like heat, dumb vibes getting cooked anew. Popcorn lit, locking tight, roll swift, no lack. Prime stream zooms, global tap, we stack. Skirt, skirt that, skirt tat that. OM's here, yo.
And Imp is here. The man
Finally
let him be
back.
here.
Yeah, well, you know,
The man.
just because you're unemployed these days doesn't mean you can't be all anti.
I
He's
am
not
now,
unemployed. He's a part-timer.
I took a temp job to be able to. It pays more than unemployment, and I've got like 3 where I'm into like the 3rd round of it. These friggin'
He could
Disney
be. He
jobs
could
now.
be in that anime. The devil is a part-timer now.
It's I don't neither you. I know Slender did it fairly recently, but even since then, it's like ridiculous. You do like a virtual interview, then you do another virtual interview. Then you're waiting to get to the 3rd round of interview where the recruiter keeps telling you they're just waiting to schedule it or this or that. I've got like 3. I've got another one where I'm doing an in-person panel interview with like 5 people because I went through the phases in that one. It's that they definitely make you go through their schedule instead of trying to
Yeah, and they
fill the
usually
spot.
start you off with like the speed dating. Like,
Yeah, it's
we're gonna have a little 5-minute call with you.
Well,
And
it
then we're
also
gonna be like,
proves
yeah,
to them
you
whether
seem-
you're serious about
Yeah.
wanting the job, I guess.
And they're like, you seem relatively normal. We're gonna have you talk to people that matter now.
Yeah, well, so in fact, when I took the temp one, I told the people, I was like, please, I don't want to sound rude. At any given moment, I may get notice that I'll be getting full-time employment. Will you be upset if I very quickly after starting this job turn in my notice and leave? And they're like, no, it happens. It's like, yeah, okay, as long as you're cool with that. So anyway, just tell them you host a popular YouTube show. Popular is, I mean, debatable. Give
A
you
YouTube show.
I host a YouTube show with my bros, and
I do something on YouTube.
Yeah.
Would you really even call it a show at this point?
I'm pretty happy with where we're at. Like I said, I just
Listen,
want to
if,
get.
if all the people who liked our show came to the same little coffee shop, right? We would fill that venue.
And then
We
promptly
would fill
go
that venue
bankrupt.
every week.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I mean, it's so there's I know there's a thought in economics, right? You'd rather have a very loyal 1,000 people than a million indifferent like people who are like, if you're subscribed and you want to monetize things, it's better to have like a 1,000 to a couple thousand really committed, people who will support you than it is to have a million subscribers who don't pay anything. So in terms of actually monetizing your online presence, It's pretty crazy.
You know, Josh Hammond says Slender Dad with a man bun making coffee. I actually did have a man bun going on earlier today because I've been
Gross.
out there cutting the brush with my hedge trimmers and everything, trying to just get everything out of that area. And every day I've done it this week, and every day I have got ticks. Like I caught them before they got on me, but they were trying to find an access point, right? And they keep getting in my hair, and they're ticks. They're gross. I hate them. I don't want them in my hair.
Little blood
like,
suckers.
yeah. So today I tied it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm looping it over and putting it into a bun so that none of it's on my neck.
Gay.
Okay, Justin Baldoni. All right.
Had to do what I had to do, man. Work needed to get done.
Let's just say go see. We got Josh Hammond was first. Bad take, like everybody else, pointing out that I was typing quickly with lots of distractions. It has been
The
corrected.
Ballerina.
It has been corrected now. FKHC 69. Then Davina. A lot of us were in chat earlier watching Mad Show on Flat Earth, which was fun. It's like,
Interesting.
Davina already talking about looking up Switch reviews for Switch 2. Josh Hammond in there. Smokey, the favorite Kiwi, coming in. Mad has his own studios, not the one from Dallas. Yeah. If he were here, he'd get it, I guess. Bride of Slender's in there. We got Eric getting in a couple minutes late, but that's fine. E-Clay's showing up. Davina telling you to just go ahead and shave it down.
Yeah.
I'll send Slender the tick mitts recommended by a dog influencer I follow. They seem fun and easy to use.
What the hell are tick mitts?
I would imagine it's a glove to wipe ticks out. But
Oh, I guess that would be an option.
How
I
would that
usually
work?
just
because if their head stays in, like if you were to like try to rub them off, the head is going to stay in.
I'm
Usually
assuming it's to
get
comb them
disease
out
from
of
them.
the fur of the dog.
I would imagine that they might have something where it actually pulls the whole. The reason, usually, if you pull just from like the back of the tick, it stays latched. But they might have something where the way it pulls them off takes the whole thing.
We used to just burn them off.
Use tweezers.
You don't want to burn them off. From what I have heard, if you burn them off, they will likely vomit in the process, and that is what gives you Lyme disease.
As a Lyme survivor,
The U.S. government gives you Lyme disease.
yes, I was going to say I got my
Oh, is
Lyme
it
disease.
contrails? Is that what?
No, it's you know why it's called
No, it's-
Lyme disease? It's because it's from a bio. It was first found
Lyme, Connecticut.
in Lyme, Connecticut, right next to a U.S. bio lab. Slender.
Kind of like a Wuhan in Connecticut.
You know, it came from pangolas or whatever.
Was there a wet
Pangolins.
market next to this biolab?
No, just a forest full of ticks.
Okay, so yeah, the glove picks the tick up, and then you either wash or throw the glove away. Okay, so it pulls. That could be.
See, what we would do is light a match, let the match go out after burning for a second, and then while it was
Yeah, and then you
still
stick it.
hot, stick it.
Yeah, like I said, the problem with that is it makes them vomit. You can also just take like a credit card and wedge it up under it, and then apply a little bit of pressure, and they'll usually back out.
Yeah, I would say just and just go with the nice small tweezers as your first attempt, because with those you can get under and kind of just pull out so that it takes the whole tick with you. And then once the tick is out of you, punish those evil bastards however you want. Ticks are
Then light it on fire
Yeah.
and watch it explode.
So you're saying it's a good way to practice your pull-out game?
yeah. If you wanted to get the what is it, biodesiccated earth, which is it's really interesting stuff. It's a really good thing to use in your garden because it's completely innocuous to people, but for bugs, it's like dragging through themselves through broken glass and it murders them. So use that. It's a good stuff for pest control.
When we were up at NAS Brunswick in Maine, we had a 2M lab in the tower, and the tower was out by the woods, and you'd find ticks out there all the time crawling around in that tower. So we took one and we asphyxiated it in a jar with like the ball of cotton, like, middle school style, and then we looked at that thing under one of our microscopes in the 2M lab.
Gives you nightmares.
They look like aliens. They literally have the alien mouth. They shoot a little fucking tongue thing out that has two little hooks on it like an anchor. It's so weird.
I know, I'm telling you. But
How did we get here? Oh, Slender and the man bun.
Yep.
we even without Mad here, you can see why we're in the sphere, because we can go completely a different direction like anybody.
Yep, that was Slender's gaming update. His gaming was taking ticks off.
No,
I've got real gaming updates.
Here we go. We'll start the gaming update by looking at like something somebody did in real life with a Cybertruck, which is the coolest way I've seen a Cybertruck presented.
Yeah, I would drive that.
He
That looks pretty
3D
good.
printed the gun from Halo, and then they body wrapped it and put the wheels on so that it would look like a friggin' they called it a warthog, right? And
Yeah.
Halo. Yeah, so I would 100%. That's how I would drive a Cybertruck. Otherwise, it's an ugly piece of shit. I would. It's the like most god awfully ugly car.
You think it has a halon system?
We can ask Mad if he gets a T-shirt when he buys it.
Also, yes, Josh Hammond, I did see the clip you made, but I don't remember which. We've done quite a bit of repo over the last few days, so there are plenty of clippable things right now.
It looks better when you shoot it. Yeah. All right. So this is going to be the beginning of the multiple weeks in the making gaming update from Slender. So this is the article he sent me over to start, where he's going to springboard off talking a little bit about AAA pricing, which is interesting because it's leading into the Switch 2 did just drop this week. Actually, before we get into the article, I'm just going to show. Have you guys have been a little disappointed with the Switch 2? Because look, I went to my local Walmart today. Look at this. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Switch 2s just sitting there. Like,
I'll tell you what, it ain't selling out like the Switch did.
Nope.
And I don't think even the scalpers are trying to pick these things up.
See, I don't know why
I'd rather it be like this than the PlayStation 5, where it was 2 years before you could pick one up.
Yeah, but that makes me think this is because they're really just doing a slightly upgraded Switch. So this isn't something where they have a lull in component manufacturing. They're pretty much able to use their same stuff. So I'm telling people real quick, if you're worried that you can't get one right at your local store, don't feel like you need to get a scalper price. In fact, if you really want one and you can't find one locally, send me a message. We'll work out you Venmoing the money. I apparently can just go right to my Walmart and get you one at retail. So don't worry. There you go.
But were any of them the ones packaged with Mario Kart? Because that's the only one that's really worth it, since they don't have really any other games
yeah,
out.
I'll show you the screen again. Look in the lower.
Was it the lower right?
Lower right, you see the.
Okay, so they've got one that comes with a game. The rest of them are system only, it looks like.
Yeah,
that may be why they're sitting. Most people were trying to get one that comes with a game because that saves you about $60.
Yeah, did you see this story? I feel that there was places where they stapled. Slender, you saw this, right?
I did not. What's this?
The staple. They were stapling the receipts to the box as they were leaving, and it was puncturing the screen on the Switch too.
And because of where the Switch was laid out in the box, the heavy duty stapler went through the cardboard top and into the screen portion of the Switch too.
Oh, I would
ruined everybody's Switches at that store.
That store had better be doing something.
Well, even if they wanted to replace them, that might have been their whole stock. Who knows?
That's what I'm saying. They better do something.
Because that's it was ridiculous. I'll have to try.
That's when you take it back to the store and they tell it, well, you should have bought the screen protector too.
I like Davino over here. Mistakes were made.
Right.
Mistakes were made.
Josh is saying, I'm happy with my PS5 I got recently. There might finally be enough PS5 games to possibly justify having one, but I still
Nah.
don't think so. I
still got Steam. I'm happy.
I'm gonna
The
say
only
yeah.
game that justified the PS5 for me, and it wasn't enough to justify it, was Demon Souls Remastered. That's the only game I've played on the PS5.
Jeez, yeah, not worth it.
I mean, I started Elden Ring on the PS5, but once I got the gaming PC, it was like, nope, I'll just get everything on Steam.
Steam is the way.
I don't see any new Switch 2 games. I mean, Mario Kart World is their big one.
Mario Kart World, and the one where you get to explore the system. It's
I
basically
can't
the
believe
instruction book online, and they're charging for it. And then
believe they're charging for it.
200% it would cost another $75 in buying peripherals for the Wii or for the Switch 2 in order to
75?
100%
I thought it was higher than that.
Could be 95. I mean, it's
I
something
think it's 95.
stupid.
One of you sent that to me earlier today. Yeah. Welcome Tour, a game that arguably should be free, needs $95 worth of accessories and a 4K TV to complete.
Yeah. It's absolutely stupid.
I'm gonna be honestly, if you don't have a 4K TV, there's no GD reason to buy a Switch 2 anyway.
If you
like
needed
what
a 4K TV, I mean, the thing with the Switch is it has its own freaking screen. So why would they have something that you would need the 4K TV to get? I mean, sure, it's just a trophy, but your Switch should come with what it needs to be played if it is a screen in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean, the Switch 2 is what we would affectionately usually call the Pro model for most systems. Like PlayStation, Sony does this, routinely now.
Yeah,
they release the
PlayStation Pro.
It's still the same generation, but it's just an upgraded internals of that generation. So there was a PS3 Pro, PS4 Pro. I guarantee you, probably next year or the end of this year, there's going to be a PS5 Pro. They'll slim down the original and make a Pro version if they haven't already announced it. Yeah, they should have just called this the Switch Pro. It doesn't even have an OLED screen. So they're going to put an
They're going to bring out
OLED
the
model
OLED
probably next year, just like they did with the Switch. Like Brahma said, this is
a year or two.
The selling point of the Switch that makes it really better for some people than a lot of systems is its portability. You can game on the go, you can take it with you. So having the OLED model later, when you release an OLED as an upgraded version of your Switch, and then you're making the new system and you're not doing the OLED screen, is a dick move. You're telling everybody you're going to do another version 6-7 months from now to price
and it
them
seems
out.
like it is a lot of the same hardware and software stuff because it's already been hacked. Hackers have already gotten into it and have taken control of the Switch too. It's been like what, 3 or 4 days?
I guarantee, like, would
and
you
they've already
really
hacked it?
Slender, I mean, if you were Nintendo, would you have built a whole new operating system for what is essentially just a Pro model of your existing system?
No, it
Right.
doesn't seem fiscally viable.
But you might have tried to close some of those back doors to keep people from being able to hack it that quick. Even if, I mean, you might make some changes. You might not do a whole new operating system, but you might patch it a bit.
Well, I have to imagine Nintendo has Red Team, right? Like they've probably got hackers that will do penetration testing on their system in a dev or wargaming type environment before it ever hits the market. So a lot of those vulnerabilities should be identified and patched out before you ever go to market.
I mean, it's not that it matters.
There are
You're
some
always
really
going to
good
get
hackers
hacked.
out there.
Yeah, the system's always going to get hacked, so it doesn't really matter. But I just find it funny that it's been hacked in less than a week because it took hackers a long time to get some of the older systems. The new ones, I don't know that they even care anymore.
No, they do, because as of now, the current gen Xbox hasn't had any sort of hack. PS4
And that's
and
been out,
5
what,
have
3 years?
more than that. There hasn't been a
Yeah.
hack on the Xbox since the 360.
But you know what is a thing on the Xbox that's pissing me off? I use an authenticator app for my Microsoft account because I've had this Microsoft account because it generates from my original Hotmail account that I had since the goddamn mid 90s. If you go password free because you use your authenticator app, it screws up your Xbox login to the Xbox gaming. It gets caught in an infinite loop where it'll keep asking for your password and it'll give you the code, right? Where you go online, you log in, you put your code in for the Microsoft thing.
Yeah.
But and then it'll send through the authenticator app your permission. Do you grant this thing permission to log into your account? You hit yes, but it doesn't work with the Xbox. It just keeps looping.
That's actually happened with a couple of big corporations that are trying to consolidate their logins.
So the workaround, by the way, is to completely remove your account from your Xbox and then reconnect it for the first time.
Yep.
And then it'll work.
Yeah, that's not unique to Microsoft.
No. Blizzard had some issues back in the day when they started putting out authenticators for WoW.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was annoying.
Square Enix did when they had authenticators for Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
And then they went to A Realm Reborn, and all the people who had the original authenticators couldn't use them anymore and couldn't log into A Realm Reborn.
The interesting thing is it's not a problem if you're using the Xbox app on your computer and PC gaming with your Xbox Live account. It's only with the actual freaking Microsoft hardware that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Which is the ridiculous part. Like, I mean, my son finally was like, he's finally getting into the gaming, playing Pokemon games, doing stuff. He's 10. So he sees this Xbox sitting in my office that we don't. He's like, "What games do we have for the Xbox?" I don't know. We have Game Pass. We can get whatever. So he starts. He was like, "All right, let's turn it on," because he's like, "I want to play Goat Simulator."
Have you heard of Killer Instinct?
I know on Xbox right now, Nine Souls is on Game Pass. That's pretty good.
For a 10-year-old?
Probably not. There's people getting decapitated in like the first 10 minutes.
Yeah,
And
so for
my
a
10-year-old is a little more
I mean, it's
sweet.
really cartoony.
He's what a 10-year-old should be, not what these hooligans raised in public schools are. I'm kidding.
No, you're
But
not.
I'm not. No, I'm not. He's testing in college level already on stuff. This is what happens. He's 4th grade. He just finished.
Yeah, I was
All
doing stupid shit like that when I was young too.
Testing
how
in
I
college
turned out.
level. Yeah.
I wasn't college level. I was high school level when I was like in 3rd grade.
Yep. All right. So let's get Slender actually his runway to do his thing. All right. So we had the Borderlands controversy where he's going to be basically saying, "I'm going to charge what I want."
No, he's. There was a tweet that was directed at him that said, "Please don't make your game $80. Like, whatever you do, do not make your game $80." And his response was, 1, not my decision, and 2, if you're a real fan, you'll make it happen. And then he said, "I worked for minimum wage at an ice cream shop back in 1991, and I went and got, I don't remember what game on what Sega system for $80.
It was something on the Genesis.
Yeah, it was $80 for this game on the Genesis that I wanted, and I found a way to make it work." And it's like, 1, I know you're full of shit because I don't think any games were selling for $80 back in 91.
There was a couple. Not many, but there was a couple, and they were majorly RPGs.
Yeah, and 2, like, bullshit. Just fucking. The whole story is stupid, and it's the most unbelievably dumb thing to say. And so, like, that's the I think maybe the 3rd group that's been talking about raising their prices, if you count Rockstar saying that they're going to charge $100 for GTA 6. And so I did what I'm going to call AI assisted market research. I had a conversation with Grok, and my conversation was with relation to several things, right? But I made a visual aid real quick before the show that sums up the key points. So I'm going to steal the screen share here. This is what I have discovered. In 1991, approximately 700 video games were published. In 2024, there were over 18,000 games published on Steam alone. If we take the numbers that we have available to us and we do the math, that represents an increase in supply of approximately 2,471%, while demand for games has remained relatively stable. This would indicate that the market is oversaturated. Why are these companies talking about raising prices when there isn't enough demand to facilitate the supply that is available to us now?
Well,
No, seriously, does anyone have an answer?
There is the fact that half of the stuff on Steam is just, they'll throw anything on there. Just because there's that many games out doesn't make them playable games or anything anybody would want to play.
And yet, Steam does bigger numbers than any of the AAA studios.
Yeah. But they do
And
it on primarily the huge games.
I don't know if that's... So here's where I'll push back a little for you. Steam is like Netflix, right? Well, what Netflix used to be. They don't
Tons
make
of content.
They don't make the content.
Quality.
AAA studios are the content. So the argument would be more like Netflix and the studios. Or cable television. Like
I get what you're saying, but again, I'm gonna disregard that because every single AAA studio at this point has at least dipped their toes in trying to do their own digital storefront and failed miserably. So they have attempted to compete directly with Steam.
No. So that makes it exactly like Netflix and the movie studios, where each one of them tries to create their own streaming service.
Yep,
and it fails.
True. I'll give you that.
Because people, when it comes to if you're going to be a content aggregator, like a digital storefront, we want you to be agnostic, right? It's like Steam. Steam will put games from Sony. Steam will put games from Microsoft, from Activision, from whoever. As long as you meet the Steam requirements, you're going to be able to sell your game on their storefront.
Yeah, but they have stricter requirements than you might think.
No, which are consumer friendly for a lot of them. Like the refund policy of Steam is probably the best refund system of any digital storefront, which is why it makes sense to buy your game through Steam. What you can play a game for up to 2 hours, right?
Yep.
2 hours
or a certain amount of completion, I think.
And even then, sometimes Steam will waive that 2 hour window if something like when the Helldivers or whatever.
Massive uproar.
If there's something
they did for Veilguard, they did for Helldivers 2. They've done that for several games.
Yeah. If a studio F's you with something they do in game, Steam reserves the right to say, we're extending that refund policy and you can get a refund. And that money comes out of that developer's account. Like Steam will reverse direct deposit that cash and put it right back in your account from there. Steam is probably the best. The reason no one's unseated them, nobody's even come close to doing what Steam does.
Well, and they're the Netflix of this space. They are the big boy. They have done it the best, the longest. They've got it built out the best. So there's no reason to look anywhere else.
Well, and that's the thing is, honestly, all they need to do is fuck up with their audience enough that there would be an opportunity for a competitor to rise up. But since they've been really good and all the other companies have tried to basically force their digital storefront by making you register your email with them and all the other dumb shit, kind of like Helldivers 2 and Sony, nobody's really had any reason to look for an alternative to Steam.
Well, and the only time we use alternatives is when, like Epic Games, is when they're offering something free that's not on Steam. And but I don't spend any money on Epic Games Store at all. It's like,
Well,
we
it's
find a
kind
free
of
game
like,
on there, we play it.
yeah, it's kind of like when like what was the game you guys were playing for a while there? I think it was a zombie game.
Evil Dead.
Not
Oh,
Evil Dead.
it was the Call of Duty zombie mode, right?
No, there was
No.
something else for a
Oh.
while there.
We
Yeah,
were
the one
doing
that Matt wanted
World
to
War
play.
Z.
Yeah.
No, I had that on Steam. There was something you guys were playing on a different platform. It was like,
Oh, yeah.
unfortunately, there's so many zombie games. But
No, I know which one. I'll pull it up because it was on the Xbox. I think it was Xbox Live we were doing. It
Yeah.
was like,
But that is the only thing that's close as a competitor.
State
would
of
be
Decay
the
2.
Xbox Game Pass.
yeah,
it was
I
State of
never
Decay
picked
2.
it up because I was just like, it's on Xbox. I don't. Nope, that's too much work. If it was on Steam, I'd pick it up, but I'm not gonna go pick it up on Xbox right now.
So here's another interesting point to your glut of games, Slender point.
Yeah.
Gaming is one of the. It's almost like music, where we have access because of people porting things to all previous generations of games.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like music, where there's just this giant swell of availability, and the stuff that still sells or gets played is still the stuff from the 80s, 90s, and early O's, because that's what was
Because there's
good.
a lot of trash since.
But it's
here's
also
the
true
thing.
for gaming. Like people, I keep going back and playing game. Like I looked at, it made me think of it because when I pulled up the Xbox PC system to look at what game it was, it notified me that I was last playing Command and Conquer, and I was
Yeah.
like, I loved Command. I still play. I was excited. It was on Xbox Game Pass, and I was playing the old Command and Conquers. So,
yeah, but here's some more interesting information that happened while I was doing this AI
that might be
analysis.
Eric saying,
Yeah,
pointing out
I was
Steam
gonna bring
also
that
has H games and other games if you're so inclined.
Right, but
So-
if you're doing like the family game sharing, not that I've done this, but I've heard that you need to set up a second account, and you put all those types of games on that account so that they don't show on your main library.
It sounds like you have done this.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Slender's like, now let me
Also,
get
why
to the
wouldn't you
review
just
of my
make the file
favorite.
hidden?
What?
I don't think you can
Because
do
if
the
you're
family-
doing family library sharing, your hidden files still show on other people's Steam account. Like if anybody who's family sharing with you will still see the hidden ones.
That almost confirms that you have done this.
I can't confirm anything.
Someone doth protest too much.
Yep. Slender's all right. In addition to gaming,
Anyway,
news, here's
moving on.
H game of the week. H game of the week coming from Slender from now on.
Did you bring up what I told you earlier today, Slender?
What?
The Nintendo thing?
What?
Stapling the receipts to the screen.
No,
Were you-
not that.
Not even listening?
Evidently, I wasn't.
Yeah, you clearly you weren't. I even said, I think Imp sent me something about that earlier today. Let me go check. And I read the headline of the article you shared.
Oh, okay. I had to step away to go to the bathroom for a second, so I was probably at that point.
Imp is always involved in the game in the show, so it's good.
Hey, it's still better than what
Slender-
Mad said last night about reading part of the message you sent.
Yeah. Mad was like, "Oh, are we going to play Guilty as Sock?" And I'm like, "Did you read the conversation that you had with me?"
Part of it.
I did see the announcement of a new Marvel fighting game that will be, well, it's not going to be a Capcom, but it is
I
going to
think
be
it's made by
very,
Arc.
very similar. It's going to be, it's being done by a Japanese
Yeah, it's
development
it's
team, and it's going to be like anime.
Yeah, it's Arxis. They did Guilty Gear and BlazBlade.
Yeah.
And they're already giving it shit because they allegedly whitewashed Miss
So-
Marvel.
And here are some of the other interesting things that I got with the AI, because I asked it, very specifically, I said, so if a supply in a market increases by 2,741% historically, what would that do to the product price? And of course, it said, a 2,741% increase in supply, like the jump from 700 video games in 1991 to 18,000 in 2024, would typically put a significant downward pressure on prices in a market, assuming demand doesn't increase proportionally. Basic economic principles suggest that when supply surges dramatically and demand remains relatively stable, the market becomes oversaturated, leading to lower prices as producers compete to attract buyers.
Which is what happens with which is why music prices are collapsing. Why like
Well, and
which,
what is one of the most widely lauded games of 2025 so far?
Elden Ring?
Expedition
Claire
33.
Obscura
Oh,
Expedition
Claire,
33. It only costs what?
40.
$40?
Yeah, it's like Helldivers price. It's double A price, 39
Yeah.
usually, 39.99.
And
They
then it
released
said,
it at a discounted rate.
yep. Well, they did.
And
I think it was like
anyway.
50 without the discount, but I think with the
Correct.
discount it was
It's
40.
now gone up to kind of the regular price. Yeah.
And it's funny because if you think about
It's
it,
still on Xbox though, right?
yeah. The funny thing, if you think about it too, is all these games that hit that bit of viral popularity, Repo, Phasmophobia, whatever. They're
Yeah,
all,
it's still
all
only
the-
50. It's
all
not.
those
It's
games
not
are less
70
than
or 80.
$20. If you've noticed that, anything that's hits that viral popularity always tends to be a
Well, yeah. When
budget
it's
price title.
when it's streaming viral, it's typically a cheap game.
Eric
Yeah.
over here playing the games for the story. I've mentioned Treasure of Nadia and Genesis Order before, which are adult but not H games. But the story development being better than a considerable amount of mainstream stuff is sad. I read it for the stories. I play it for the stories, man. No, I'm pretty sure that a adult game current year, you're likely to get a better story coherent than you would if anything Sweet Baby Ink touched for sure.
Yes.
I mean, what is it? I've seen all
Probably
those
better
things.
looking characters.
I've seen a lot of stuff on X. Like every time
Yes.
Marvel releases a new trailer, I see the stuff where like Axel Braun should be making Marvel movies. He's more committed to being comics lore accurate than any of these assholes, and the girls would be hot.
Yeah, so yeah, and then going into historical context, it's like, while no industry perfectly mirrors a 2,741% increase in a single year, we can look at analog cases where supply surged rapidly. They mentioned the 1980s video game crash, where oversupply led to North American video gaming crashing and prices plummeted. Retailers discounted games heavily, sometimes to $1 to $5, and
But
many
that wasn't-
companies went bankrupt.
That wasn't all oversupply. That was lack of quality control.
That was lack of quality. But again,
the
Brahma,
market was also flooded at the time.
yeah,
It
the
was,
market
but the lack of
saturated.
quality control was the bigger issue because they
Yeah.
were releasing games that were unplayable and flooding the market with that.
Okay, now let's talk about No Man's Sky, Cyberpunk 2077.
Releasing games that weren't ready.
Aren't done. That are the quality. Look
Or
at
what
how
was
fucking
promised.
yeah. Look at Assassin's Creed Shadows. That game was a
Rather not.
pile of shit at release. And so many games now come out with like, oh yeah, you've just got a teensy tiny little 90 gig day one patch to download before you can play the game.
The ability to patch is both a good thing and a horrible thing.
I think I would agree with that. But other historical examples it also cites the smartphone crash in 2010, right? Smartphone market saw a supply boom in the 2010s as manufacturers like Samsung, Xiaomi, and others flooded the market with models. Between 2010 and 2015, global smartphone shipments grew from 300 million to over 1.4 billion units, a 367% increase. Prices for mid and low tier phones dropped significantly due to competition, with budget models falling from the $200 to $300 to as low as $50 to $100 in some cases. Premium brands like Apple maintain high prices through differentiation. showing that quality and branding can mitigate price drops. Oil market in 2014 to 2016, the indie game boom from the 2010s to now, and in 1991, console games typically cost $40 to $60. Right? In 2024, AAA games still retail at 60 to 70. This is wrong because now everybody's talking about 80.
And if it's Nintendo, you can pay a whopping $80 for like a digital code inside the box.
That's not just Nintendo.
And they said, but the average price across all games is lower due to indie titles, free-to-play models, and frequent sales. Digital platforms like Steam often see discounts of 50 to 90% on older or less popular titles, unless those are Nintendo titles.
Although I will say the people complaining about the digital code thing kind of make me laugh because I bought the original Black Ops on PC, like, what was that, like almost 20 years ago now? And all that was a Steam code in a box.
I was going to say,
no
digital
Steam.
codes have been around since the early aughts.
Yeah, there was no CD in the box, or if there was, all that CD was essentially a physical Steam key.
Imp, what's in the box? What's in the box?
What's in the box? Well, nothing except this little
Not
code.
a piece of physical
This
media.
little
Let's
scrap of
just
paper.
keep your head. Keep your head.
Yeah. And 70s knows about, thanks for hopping in, knows about physical media because he's constantly, if you watch his channel, sharing with you all his fun finds
Indeed.
when he gets some new pieces of physical media.
So,
That's
Got a little bit of
Bargains.
physical media behind me now.
A little
I
bit.
see that, yeah.
So all I will say in reference to this is everything's still on track. I think the AAA gaming crash is still well underway, and more AAA studios are fast approaching the section of my list where they're not going to see 2030.
It's true that the AAAs are having a lot of trouble. The other thing that is true is that we probably all have too many games in our backlog right now to be able to even play through what we've.
And we
What
got
we've got.
Dune. Is it next week? Dune drops.
4
Well,
days.
You and Mad do.
Yep.
Yeah, you and Mad.
I
do.
paid for it, but I'm playing Night Rain for a while
Same, and I didn't pay for
because
it,
it's
but
too
I don't
hard
know
for
if
us
I'm
to get
gonna,
together
'cause
on Night Rain. So
If,
we've got to.
if I don't
do it
have
when we can.
unpaid interns, what do I have?
Do you have the ability to crush the Harkonnens?
I mean,
What?
I'd rather
I'm sorry,
crush the
I
Padishah
dozed off.
Emperor.
Yeah, I'd rather fight a Night Lord.
Eric says it also helps that AA studios are getting better. They are.
Double A
and,
studios are putting out AAA quality work,
and I'm going to be honest. We've talked about this before. This is where AI tools are going to help take these 10 to 20 person teams and let them pump out content that is better than AAA.
One can hope.
it's better anyway because it's got a tight and cohesive vision behind the project.
Mhm.
Like Assassin's Creed Shadows, the end game credits were over 2 hours long. Why the fuck
Yeah, you can't
did
tell
you
me
have
that
many
cared that
people
much.
making one fucking game?
I mean,
Yeah.
who even watches
There's no
those?
way they all had the same level of.
No, it's probably when you
interest
start
in
No,
what
going
that's
they
through
were
that's
the
doing.
game
audio
development
stuff.
by fucking committee.
We start going through the audio
Well,
stuff,
by
like all those names.
bureaucracy.
It's like, oh, this guy made this noise. This person made this noise. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's how it is now, huh?
It's
Indeed.
yeah, it's
I
bad.
never pay full price for games now. I mean, I just today bought Lies of Pi and Atomic Heart on sale over half
Oh
price
yeah.
sale.
Speaking of Brahma, I don't
Yeah.
know if you saw the prequel to
Overture?
Lies. Yeah, it's out today.
Did it
which
come
means
out?
Yeah.
So the original went on sale because the
Yeah.
new one came
Yes,
out.
so I'll
Because
the
it's
original
on
came
sale now. Yeah.
For you and Imp, Brahma, Imp, Ender Lilies. I finished it. I 100%ed it. It's really fucking good.
I
If
still have to
you're-
go
if-
through Hollow Knight. I have enough Metroid and Blasphemous 1 and 2 to go through.
Hollow Knight is really good too. You
Yes,
should
it
finish
is.
Hollow Knight.
Hollow
And
Knight
so is
is
Blasphemous.
good. So is Salt and Sanctuary and Salt and Sacrifice.
Yeah, I would say Ender Lilies is somewhere between Hollow Knight and Salt and Sacrifice, or Salt and Sanctuary. So probably worth it. You guys like it. Now, something three of us can review: Elden Ring Night Rain. It's fucking
Yeah.
great.
It is great with 3 people that
it
know
does
and
have
can
some
play
flaws.
with.
It's good. Don't get me wrong. I like it, but it does have some flaws, and hopefully they can address it. And I do have some overall long-term concerns.
Isn't it a bit repetitive?
It is, especially if you're playing solo and just getting your butt kicked left and right
Well,
until
okay,
you
let's
get powerful
level
enough
set
to.
though. 70s. Is it a bit repetitive? Yes, but no more so than any other game in that genre. Like, it's
A
no
lot
more
less
repetitive than
repetitive.
Fortnite. It's no more repetitive than PUBG. It's no more repetitive than any of those kind of games.
A lot less repetitive than Helldivers, even. Because Helldivers, it was the exact same 3 missions over and over and over. This, you've at least got different
No.
bosses all over the place. I mean, okay, well, when we were playing it, all we did was like the same 4 things over and over and
Well, that's
over.
because we did the one that was the most fun.
And the one that took the least amount of time to do.
Yeah, we were mission scouting.
We were
to get
trying
the-
not to have it take an hour and a half for each session.
Correct.
You guys talking about Helldivers now?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to disagree with Brahma on that. I played a lot of Helldivers, and it is...
I found it boring and repetitive after
I
a while.
mean, the only thing it's got going for it is there are bug missions, there are bot missions, and there are Illuminate missions.
Not at the
And
I don't
each
think
of
so.
those factions is a very different kind of fight, but it's still pretty repetitive.
But that genre is pretty repetitive.
Yes.
The thing is, get strong, and then you're done with the game.
Also
Or
true.
you just steamroll everything.
And thus far, I've been seeing, like, so far, Night Rain has been getting good support. They've got a good roadmap. There's more content coming. It's gonna have kind of that fun thing that games in the genre have, where, like, theoretically there could be new characters, new classes to pick up later on down the road. I'm enjoying it. I like it a lot.
Tons of new bosses, easily. I mean, it's
Yeah.
reused assets, so all you have to do is throw whatever you want from all the old games in. You could also lean more into the Sekiro side of things with certain characters, or lean more into the Bloodborne side with other characters.
Yeah.
There's so much they can do on this game if they choose to.
Yeah, and
Question
on
is-
day one, despite the fact that there's a little bit of jank with climbing for the first couple of days, they seem to have fixed that. But other than that, day one, this game was stable.
Yeah.
Like, it was
really
not fucking up. We weren't having problems. A little bit of lag with certain attacks.
A little bit of lag
like,
here and there, but it's an
Yeah.
online game, so that's to be expected. Once I knew they probably pulled the usual. Well, we know this is going to sell well, but not.
Mhm.
We don't know how well, so they probably undergauged what they needed for server capacity.
Yeah, but yeah, day one fucking stable. Like, this thing felt like it felt clean. I've not had a whole lot of complaints about performance. I don't know why a lot of people are complaining about them reusing assets for this. I'm like, where is it written that after you use assets in one game, you have to lock them in a safe and drop that safe into the Marianas Trench? Like
That one doesn't
I
make
think that's
sense.
more that they do it in almost all their games, but it still doesn't matter.
But
to
saying
me.
that it's a shameless asset flip cash grab, though, it's an
it's a
experimental
redesign of a game.
And
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
I said to you, both of you guys, actually, since it's a secondary team at FromSoft
Yeah.
making an experimental spin-off, do you really think they're going to be spending the time and money to create assets from the ground up?
Well, and
No,
they
There's
didn't
no reason
ask.
to.
They
Yeah,
didn't ask like AAA prices for the game. It's
No.
It's a $40 game. Like, that's you're getting your money's worth.
That I've already
it's
played
worth
70
$40.
hours.
Like, me, Brahma, and Imp have been running a team on it whenever we can. But since Brahma has a lot going on, all three of us have jobs. Schedules don't line up all that much. Like,
Different time zones.
yeah, different time zones. Like, we
the only
have
person
been.
that affects is Slender. Let's be real.
Say what?
Yeah, because you don't sleep anyway.
Yeah, I was like, the only person that the time zones affects really is you.
That's because I actually have to get enough sleep so that I can do my job. I like my job. I don't want to lose it. But I mean, we've been looking for time to play this game. We talk about it when we're not playing it. We do research on it when we're not talking about it.
We'll be playing it likely tonight after this, and probably on a stream.
Yes, we will probably go straight to streaming this after the show tonight. If you enjoyed any of the Souls likes in the past, and if you like the roguelike, you know, I wouldn't say Fortnite because it's not a PvP thing, but it's PvE in kind of that style where
PvE
you get,
battle royale is the best way to play.
It really
PvE
is
battle royale.
pretty similar to Helldivers in that way. I mean, it's PvE. You still get to beat up your buddies because that's how you heal them. So,
well, yeah, at least it's not repo. We can do all sorts of horrible things to each other.
Nothing like when Brahma goes down and I'm playing the chesty drow. It's like, I got no mana left. Let me pull out the axe. Okay, I'm getting you back up.
Don't
just
move.
hacking away at him with the axe.
yep.
Did everyone see the 007 First Light trailer?
I did
Oh,
see it, yeah. It's
The new,
Yeah.
it's
Twink,
not
007
GoldenEye.
Twink.
Yeah.
No, it's done by the guys who make the Hitman series.
Okay.
It's not a shooter.
No, it's going to be a more stealth based. I mean, there is shooting probably because there is in the Hitman games. It's just that's not.
I could give a shit. That's not what James Bond games are for now. The GoldenEye set the precedent for what they need to do.
Spoken like a
they've-
real fucking boomer. There are
They've
other
not really
games.
ever done it again.
Agent
there are
Under
other James
actually-
Bond games.
No, they did.
Actually,
They did a
no,
couple after it.
Agent Under Fire is
Not
my
that anybody
favorite.
gave a crap about.
Agent Under Fire.
Well, apparently Chad gave a crap about one.
No, I've heard
will-
other people talk about Agent Under Fire. It's just one of those things where after GoldenEye, people just didn't care.
For the single player experience or the multiplayer, because that's what really made
multiplayer. Agent
the
Under
multiplayer.
Fire multiplayer was fantastic.
missed that
It was
one.
it was on PlayStation.
We were probably still
2.
playing GoldenEye.
It was
That's
long after
true.
GoldenEye.
We played GoldenEye well into the PS2,
Well into
PS3
college.
era.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, did you have more gaming to cover, Slender?
I'm checking Elden Ring, Night Rain, Nintendo creating the content creator war, AAA pricing. No, I think I covered anything I wanted to talk to.
All right, then I'll hit on
To the ballerina.
Ballerina real quick.
The
so that when-
balleriana.
Sweet.
I
This will be the perfect
corrected
time for
it.
me to say I'll be right back.
Yeah. All right. So,
Are we doing
I've-
spoilers or are we doing a
I'm
non-spoiler?
I'm gonna do non-spoiler. At least
You know,
to
I
start.
saw it too, right?
Yeah. I'm going to start non-spoiler, but because I've come up with a theory because I watched these two in such close succession, the John Wick movies are effectively Final Destination movies, but instead of random like Rube Goldberg devices, it's just how can we have new ways for people to shoot things? Like, let's do flamethrowers this time.
Not
Let's
just
do
shoot.
well, yeah, like
Ice
I mean,
skates.
yeah, ice skates, all sorts of things. Although the ice skates thing I'd seen recently, it was in what was the one?
Argyle?
No, it was the it was a couple years back. It was where Santa Claus was actually a Viking warrior. It
Not
was
Santa's sleigh with Goldberg, but a different one.
no,
I
it
can't
was
remember.
with the guy from Stranger Things.
David Harbour.
Yeah,
I know which one you're talking about.
I
don't remember
actually
the name of
liked
the
it. It
movie.
was a really good. I think it was a good one. But no, Silent Night was the one with the guy from the RoboCop remake. But this one, anyway. So my point is, like, that's what this is what the John Wick genre has now devolved into. Storyline is completely. I appreciate, yeah, that they tried to give some semblance, I guess, to a story. It makes no sense.
It's so bare bones stupid, but the
And-
movie was good.
And it's even worse because they shoehorn it in where Ballerina technically is taking place during John Wick 3 going
During
into
3.
John Wick 4.
That's
and
about
it
the
makes-
only way you could do it.
No, but it
because
makes no
otherwise
it,
you're having to de-age him so much. It's
no, but it makes no
stupid.
sense, Brahma, because I went back and I watched. I was like, when the fuck would John Wick be taking a phone call and doing someone a favor in
After
between?
the events of
No,
3.
no, because remember how 3 ended? This is not a spoiler
Yeah,
for
that's right.
Ballerina, because 3 ended
3
with
ended with
Winston
him getting
shooting
shot off
him
the roof,
and rolling off the roof where he was hiding to take on the table in John Wick 4 to.
which I thought they were going to end this one with her being who rescues him off the roof and gets him to the
Thank you. It was Violent
gets him to
Night
the Bowery.
was the one. Yeah, that's the thing. They didn't tie it in that way. If you guys are actually John Wick fans and are for some reason following closely to the timeline and story of John Wick from John Wick to John Wick 4, shoehorning Keanu into, like, I don't mind, like, the part where they did it for the first cameo didn't have any problem with, because it was just him showing up where you saw him in the movie in John Wick 3. So that didn't break anything. Having him suddenly jet off to go be the guy, and this isn't a spoiler because
Romania or something.
they're showing it in the trailers, so it's not a spoiler. I don't think of anything that's in a trailer as being a spoiler. John Wick showing up to try to fight her makes no sense. Like, he's not in any capacity to be available to do this. And I don't think they even care about their own lore anymore when they did it. So, makes no sense. But it doesn't matter, because you're not watching this movie for a plot that makes sense. Not in any way.
Even a little bit.
You're watching it to see if the action is fun. And is the action good? Yeah, it's pretty good. I thought the action scenes were inventive, as you want from a John Wick movie.
And a ton of them. It was like, so you get an action scene within like the first 2 minutes. Then you get just a short lull, like 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes of lull. And then you're in action scene, 3 lines of dialogue, action scene, 3 lines of dialogue, action scene, three lines of dialogue. How long was it? Right at 2 hours. But it felt about 15 minutes too long.
And the part where it slows down the most isn't even where you'd expect it. You'd expect the slowdown would be right after the opening burst of action, when you get effectively her training montage. I didn't mind it. I found the training montage to be perfectly serviceable, and they didn't really linger on it too much. They didn't do if you agree, the training portion was about the right length before they sent her off into the world to start doing missions.
Well, it was, and it's what keeps it from being like a Mary Sue type character. We actually saw her training and basically
getting
doing
her
it
ass
from
kicked.
the age of like 12 years old, and being told, you are a woman, you are smaller and weaker, you will never beat a man unless you fight like a girl. It's kind of a dumb line, but it really meant cheating, kicking in the nuts, stuff like that.
Using your
or having a weapon. Yeah.
Which
outthinking the person.
I appreciated it, because when they did the action scenes, if she was fighting a much larger man, you could see when she was just doing like normal physical hits or her Black Widow style fighting, she was losing and getting her ass kicked. And it took her using the environment and being inventive to try to get a weapon to enhance. And even once she got a weapon, when she was using her own strength sometimes for a blunt force attack, it would still not take the guys down.
A ton of it. Yeah.
It took a lot of hits, and there was a lot of sequences where when it was something sharp, she had to do the like prison style multiple stabs to get the guy to finally be able to be taken down by. I appreciated that. I didn't have any problem with her. I think this is something where Keanu is getting
I had a problem
older.
with how much damage she tanked. That was the only thing, but that's part of a movie like this.
Yeah. So I think what I was going to say is Keanu is getting older, so he can't do as much of the like physical fighting as he used to. He's talked about this. His knees are bad. He's almost 60. I think he's not far off Tom Cruise's age.
Right.
And so I think if you watch some behind the scenes stuff, he talks about the amount of damage that the John Wick movies do to him physically when he does them.
Quick thing to add, since I just got back, but I was listening on the having a problem with how much damage she tanked. I have a problem with how much damage John Wick tanked in the last movie too. So
Last movie,
He tanks with his stupid jacket again in this one.
Well,
God, I hate
I'm
that.
Well,
just
he-
saying they all tank a lot of damage.
at least that one
Yeah.
was just bullets.
That's
It
why
was
I'm
just
saying
John Wick has
bullets.
fallen off like 8-story buildings multiple times now.
That was
and
John.
walked
So
away.
that was John Wick 3 because that's when I went back before today because I knew I'd be talking about it. I went and watched. I speed ran John Wick 3 into John Wick 4, and I was like, when in this sequence of time would it make goddamn sense for him to show up?
Because
In
all of
this
this has only
town.
taken like a week and a half. The whole John Wick story.
Yeah, that's the thing. John Wick is supposed to be like, and the other thing is he's never missing the finger. So that means it has to take place early, or they just
Did he
didn't
have
care.
gloves on, or
No, he was walking. They just didn't care. I don't think
I
they
didn't pay
cared.
attention to the finger thing?
All right, so if you guys remember in the John Wick 3 when he makes the stupid deal that
I
is
know what you're
completely
talking about. I
meaningless,
just- yeah.
he gets his left hand ring finger cut off. And they don't bother, so it makes no sense timeline wise. Doesn't make anyway. John Wick movies aren't for any. That's why I said these things are like they're at this point their final destination. You're just going for the action sequences. The plot is completely secondary. None of it actually makes sense if you start thinking about it at all. It all falls apart. So in the end, when you judge a John Wick movie, is it too long? Is it just about right? And are the action sequences good? The
I like
action
this better than
sequences were
4.
good.
Yep.
I was going to agree. I actually found this one, and it's because it's shorter. This movie is still probably around 5-10 minutes longer than it needs to be. There's a couple slower parts once she gets to the town that probably could be consolidated. There's a couple plot points that are completely telegraphed that actually serve no purpose. I know.
And Ritas
I'm-
could have not existed, and I would have been fine with it.
I'm looking right here.
So what Chad is saying is, if we
Yeah.
set the expectation ahead of time, move the goalpost to the 50-yard line, this is a decent movie.
But no,
By
but
the way,
my
is that
point
the chick from? Is that the wife?
I
in
never,
From?
I didn't watch From because you guys kept talking about how bullshit
No,
the
because
show
it's
was.
bad. But
Yeah, so,
I don't know. But she looked good in this. If that's her,
it might
Gabriel
be. I have
Byrne
no
was
idea.
fantastic.
Yeah, he
Oh,
was
is
just.
in this. He's in.
Yeah,
this?
he's the
Yes.
villain. He's right
Oh,
here.
Right. Okay. Right. God, that's
So-
Gabriel Byrne.
Playing a very usual suspects version of Gabriel Burns.
These two right
He
here,
looks
the
like Jason
Norman.
Statham from here.
Honestly, I think Brahma's right. Like, if I was doing this movie, I could have completely cut out the Norman Reedus character subplot and this girl's plot, and actually, you could have still gotten to the same point. You know,
Was
Yeah,
Norman
because when she
Reedus
goes to
carrying
buy
a whole
the
bunch of
weapons-
stuff on his back and just walking around for hours on end.
I
The
mean, he
weird
was
baby thing,
walking
like a
simulator.
baby.
yeah.
The
And
action scene
the-
he was in was pretty cool, but I mean,
Yeah.
it was a pointless character. You could have.
It also makes
She
no
did find information out without him.
Yeah, and honestly, the ending for him made no sense to me anyway as well.
Right. Yeah.
Now, Slender, to your point, I'm not moving the goalposts. I'm saying the John Wick series is you're enjoying it for the action and the gunplay. It's not a plot. You're not going for plot. The reason John Wick
Right,
4
it's like
was
Fast
so
and
inferior.
Furious with guns. I get
Yeah.
it.
And John
Yeah.
Wick 4's problem wasn't that the action wasn't good. It was that it was so long.
It was that they had
stupid.
an hour opening,
Yeah.
which was just repeating the whole
Yeah.
last hour of John Wick 3.
And they weren't gunfights, right? It was just long plot dumps, right? Why did he in John Wick 4? What was the point of having him go back to see another Arab sheik guy who's not even the one from part 3 just to find out that what he's like, I want my ring back. Well, I don't have it and I'm not going to. It was pointless. It was just so they could do a little sequence of him on a horse. It seemed like it.
Well,
you
the whole Japanese section of the movie
Yeah,
could go,
so-
and it doesn't do anything.
I enjoyed it as a standalone kind of stunt piece, but it didn't really help the plot, and it could have tightened up the time. We could have just, again, John Wick 4, and I think Slender and I were saying this going, Brahma, I think you were on the when we did it too. Going
hated
back to
John
that
Wick 4.
original, we said that it was about 30 to 40 minutes too long, and it could have been a really good like 90-minute movie, but it wasn't. It was too long.
Well,
Ballerina.
and to dig into the story element a little, like it used to be that these action sequences were paying off an element of story. These action sequences do not pay anything off anymore. They're just there for the sake of, we want to do this action sequence, so we put it in the movie. John Wick 4 had the same problem. The action sequences didn't pay anything off. Like, there was no reason for them. They just had to be there because we needed the action.
So there
He's never
was a plot
accomplished
payoff.
anything. She at least accomplished something.
She accomplished her
John Wick
mission.
has never accomplished anything, because the whole thing, except for the first movie,
one. Yeah, the first one he did.
outside of that, he's been supposedly challenging the table, but they just put some underling in front of him, and that's the whole movie. He's never done anything really to the table, because, I mean, I thought this was better than 4, and I think it was better than 2, or at least tied with 2.
2 was the one
where he does a whole bunch of international travel on planes.
2 was where
he's being hunted down by everybody.
No, he's not getting hunted down by everybody till part 3. Part 3 is when he's excommunicado.
Right, but he's still got a bounty on his head at the beginning of 2. He's not excommunicado. He's got a huge bounty.
No, but the reason he was able to travel is because the one girl's brother sent him over there to kill her, so he was arranging it. That's also why he was able to get to the Continental and get all the guns. I like part 2 only because it's got the couple of the action sequences are fairly good, and it hasn't completely broken down yet on the plotting. I feel like Ballerina, by the way, is just like with John Wick 1. She's got a very good motivating drive for what she does in this movie. She accomplishes her task. If they do sequels, it's going to just revert to the same issues the John Wick franchise had, like Brahma's laying out. She's not really going to be trying to accomplish anything anymore. It's just going to be action, set piece actions. And again, this is why I said these movies are kind of final destinations with, fighting. It's just you're going to see what new and unique way they're going to kill people. And by the way,
there
Slender,
are a few.
There's a entire the same way they had the Dragon's Breath sequence that they used in John Wick 4. This movie, not a spoiler because again it was in the trailers,
preview,
has an extended fight sequence with flamethrowers that you will really love. Actually,
it was pretty cool. There were also some nice grenade situations.
And Slender, the grenades are used practically the way you always complain about, where a small frag grenade does not create the giant explosion.
Thank goodness. I'm getting so tired of that
shit. The only time she creates a giant explosion is by blowing up an entire crate of grenades. So,
yes,
which is a little different. That makes more sense, right? If you want that level of explosion, you better have a crate full of them.
Makes more sense to me.
Yeah. So, I would say
overall it was good though.
I mean, again, grading on the curve that is the John Wick movies, this one is a better one than we got from the last couple John Wicks. And I'm going to be honest, Ana De Armas impressed me. I was worried she wasn't going to be as physical as she would need to be for this kind of movie. She was actually able to pull it off very well.
They will probably do sequels with her.
I don't know if it's going to make money.
Either separate or with John Wick.
This movie costs too much, and I don't think it is not going to make the money.
Right, but I think if they are making a John Wick 5, they're going to get her in there as a partner for him.
Like, this movie is tracking to maybe open in the mid-20s, which is bad because I think the budget was I think
word of mouth will get out that it is not a girl boss situation, and it was pretty good for a John Wick movie because there are still plenty of people who really like John Wick. They're just getting really sick of the stupidity that they've done in some of them, like making them 3 hours long.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
Plus, Ana De Armas is hot. So, and somebody asked earlier, is there any nudity? No.
no,
If you want to see Keanu and her nudity, go see Knock Knock.
no. And if you actually go see, where she played Marilyn Monroe, she got super naked in that.
Bombshell or whatever. No, that
Yeah.
was Blonde, I think is what it was
Blonde.
called.
Yeah,
Bombshell was the Fox News one.
like,
So far, I've liked the odd in every part of this trilogy. So 1, 3, and this kind of being 5. I've liked the odd movies. I've
all
hated
right.
the
So
usuals.
the budget on this one was allegedly $90 million, which is like the original John Wick's budget was 30, and that was made in 2014. I get that there's been inflation, but you can't. I mean, if this movie was like, there's no reason this movie should have been more than like 50, because you're just adding stuff in that you don't need to. I think you could have gotten the core elements at a $50 million movie, and then the movie's going to make its money guaranteed. It's a $90 million movie. That means it needs to make $180 million worldwide just to get its budget back. I don't know that it makes that, because it's going to open to 30. It's going to get knocked out really fast because we're in the middle of summer movies, and we're getting movies coming out every week now, and this is going to fall off the radar pretty fast. So, I don't know.
We've got some good ones towards the end of this month. Eric, I don't think it's setting up to pass the torch in any way. She is not as effective as John Wick at all, and everybody knows it.
No,
like
they make
everybody knows it.
And they're I do appreciate that when John Wick shows up in this movie, they don't nerf him to enhance her.
They don't nerf him in any way against her.
In fact, the John Wick mythos is better coming out of this movie than it would be coming out of, say, 3, I think. Yeah, F1 looks fantastic. So I'm gonna see if I can drag Slender out to go see
F1 and Nobody 2. 2 movies coming
Oh,
out in
Nobody.
the next 3 weeks that I definitely want to see.
I thought Nobody doesn't come out till August.
I thought it was right at the end of June.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Maybe
very,
there was
very
another
soon.
one that was coming out soon.
Nobody 2
Was it 28
comes
years
out-
later? Is that one that's coming out at the end of this month?
Let me see. Nobody 2 comes out August 15th.
Okay.
Oh, really
So
thought it was
F1
sooner
comes
than that.
out. There was another trailer that I saw for when I went to see this that it was like the week after F1.
28
It
years
also
later
looked
comes
good.
out June
28
20th.
years. Okay.
That's
so
June
those are the
20th.
2 that come out this month that look
Yes.
good.
Yeah, and then F1 is there, and in July 4th we got, I think, is that Fantastic Four with Superman coming after that in July, or is it
Yeah.
vice versa? But yeah, 28 years later, and F1 are ones I'm actually looking forward to more than Superman and
Yeah.
Fantastic Four, because especially F1, I like the action, the racing looks like it's going to be very frenetic on screen.
I want to go see that one in one of the 4DX theaters so the chair moves all over the place for the race scenes.
So we had a King's Dominion in the 90s. It was one of my favorite rides. It was cheap. When Paramount took over King's Dominion at the theme park, the first ride they opened that was branded for Paramount was the Days of Thunder ride, and it was a theater with a motion chair, and it was basically like you're in the Daytona race. So you'd pull into the pit and you'd get jacked up on one side, jacked up on the other side, and then go. And it was such a great ride, and it was cheap. It wasn't a roller coaster, it wasn't that, but I still miss it. I wish they had it. They got rid of it a long time ago.
4DX made Maverick an even better movie. It was awesome the way they integrated the 4DX for that.
Hey, Tom, thanks for hopping in.
Hello.
So, final summation on Ballerina is, if you like the John Wick franchise, you'll probably have a good time with this, but I don't see a reason, if you don't, that you couldn't just wait for streaming. So there you go. Because it's going to be on streaming probably in about 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, it was a nice 7.5, 8 out of 10 type movie.
Yeah, not for plot, just for action.
Yeah, and looking at Ana De Armas.
I know that you have a weak spot for Ana De Armas though, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
She's a little bit too
I have a weak spot for hot women.
but she's just not
As curvy as you want.
yeah, she's not blessed enough. That's what I'd say.
Yeah.
Haley Atwell is qualified.
I don't have a weak spot. I got a hard spot.
Got a hard spot.
All right, so now we get into the real meat and potatoes, as Maeve would say.
Meat
of
and
the show.
potatoes.
Which
Diddly
is-
diddly potatoes.
Diddly
Jinx, you
diddly
owe me a
potato.
Coke, you stupid Scottish bastard.
So we finally got the,
Nothing I
the-
can say to that except take your shillelagh and shove it up your arse.
You shove it up your arse.
Well, we can both shove it up our arses at the same time.
so we finally get
You
our
skirt
finale.
wearing
Oh, you wanna fuck with me, Harrigan?
And man, I appreciated as for what they did. They gave a lot of payoffs. I think Slender was good on nailing the Kevin arc from early on.
Yes!
You
Because,
Fucking
think so?
called that shit.
What part do you mean?
Oh, that Kevin was gonna be starting to make his move to be.
Oh yeah. Well, that we
Yeah.
all knew. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a couple review like
I'm still.
Well,
not
I
convinced
also
that he
said
hasn't
Kevin
lost
was
it,
never
though.
going to turn on Harry, and Harry was never going to turn on Kevin. A lot of people were like, "Oh, I think Kevin thinks that maybe Harry's sleeping with his wife. He's gonna get pissed off." I'm like, Kevin trusts his bro.
I still think there's
That
an
was only through like the
undercurrent.
first 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
they
I
changed that
anything like
quick,
that.
Yeah. So real quick, we'll just go down and give real quick what I'd like is just a quick score on the finale and then just overall for the season what you think it came in at, and then we'll do the full breakdown. So Slender finale, then the season. What are your basic thoughts?
Overall, I'm gonna give the season a 9. I think it did a lot of things right. I think it set a lot of good stuff up. The finale, I'm gonna give a 7.5 because they kept a lot of shit in their pocket for season 2 that we were all hoping would pay off this season and didn't.
Okay. Brahma, how about you?
I felt pretty similar. I would give it a 9.5 for the season. It was a very good season of TV. I thought the last episode was probably 7.5. For a lot of the same reasons that Slender just said, but also for kind of bringing in some elements real quick and taking them right back out in a way that didn't seem all that realistic.
Tom, how about you?
I enjoyed it. I thought for the most part it covered a lot of the ground we expected it to. There was a few surprises. Like you said, it left a lot open, enough open for a season 2 that is interesting. I do feel like there was a little dissatisfaction with just feeling like we got edged a lot for some things that didn't really kind of fulfill
That
the
is
full
a good way to describe it.
but at the same time, it's like a fine meal. You want it to keep going and going and going. So, and once shows like this tend to fold up a lot of their early storylines, is when they usually tend to get boring or stupid. So, I'm not too worried about it getting too far past a lot of this. We'll have to wait and see what this what's her face, the tall blonde chick. I just forgot her name. Cat, yeah. What she's all about and stuff like that. We have a few threads to really kind of fall into for the second season, but overall, I thought we got a pretty good wrap up of a first season. Kind of felt like most of those storylines had come to a point. I wouldn't say a conclusion, but a point where they needed to. And some of the answers that we got, and like I think we all did pretty well with a lot of our various predictions of how things are going. But the best part is I don't know if any of them really came to fruition the way most of us predicted them would.
The way we thought they would.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm curious what you guys thought about the ending. If what it signifies or if it means anything. If it's the things that we'll get into that when we get there. But yeah, let's get this main thing started after we get everybody else's reactions here.
70s. How about you?
In terms of did I like it or not? Like the whole
just
season and the episode.
A rating for the final episode and then a rating for the season. Just real basic before we do the breakdown.
But give it 10 out of 10
for the episode or the season.
Yes.
Okay, that makes it nice and easy. All right,
70s, easy to please.
It was fabulous. Okay, I'll give it 9.9 because you can't give everything 10.
So Eric says, did the finale have the look of keeping stuff close because they knew they were already renewed instead of paying everything off? I think they were very confident that this show was going to be getting a second season.
Yeah, I don't think they held it back because I think it was shot quite a while ago before the announcement of the renewal. So I think they just knew they had a hit on their hands.
Yeah, so for my part, I would tend to agree that the finale was a little bit of a pullback and would normally be in that 7.5, 8. But man, those last 3-4 minutes, I really loved what they did there, and it adds a full half point for me. So I would say it's more of an 8, 8.5, just because the two sequences that they did, and we'll get it to them in the breakdown, were so good. I just came out of it
I liked the very first sequence. That might have been my favorite part of the whole.
Well, Slender, you have my undivided attention now. If that isn't a great allegory for marriage. So anyway, all right. So we'll get let's go ahead and now get into it. So we get our recap, and we get where we see then. I love the way they opened it because you've got Kevin still sitting there with the body. He's been apparently there all night.
Dude, Kevin is having a little therapy session. He's just unloading all this baggage, having a conversation with this guy, like telling him how it made him feel.
He's getting it all off his chest. He's found someone who will listen.
We always, there's an epidemic of male loneliness. Who knew the cure was to murder the person who molested you and you're in prison and then unload all your burdens on the dead body? But the way when we open up here, we get him trying to figure out in his own head who is more dangerous to him, his father, who is a blustery, villainous person, or Maeve, who he describes as the shark, where you won't even realize it's coming, and bam, she'll just come out of the water.
Yeah, but what did he say at the end there, though? He's like, the only person who survives is the scariest monster.
Yeah. Well, and that's freaked out is he's like basically gone over the edge here. Yeah, because he was sitting there for God knows how friggin' long because the body had already turned blue and.
Oh no! It's the next morning because remember Harry.
It's been a little bit. Yeah,
Harry was at the dinner, and he did this in the afternoon the previous day. So when Harry gets there, it's at least been 14 hours.
Exactly. That's my point. Like he's sitting there just talking to this dead body. Like he is fucking gone.
Nah, he is getting it all straightened out.
I know you love him, but he is gone, man.
No,
I think he's become a better man.
Eclay says, I guess he doesn't consider Eddie to be a threat. He probably should. Eddie is no longer a threat to Kevin because if Eddie comes near Kevin, he will get murdered so fast.
Oh, dude, Kevin will kill Eddie
that's what triggered him, right? Like, I mean, that was the whole thing. Like, it wasn't the fact that the guy said anything about kids, it was the fact that he brought up his kid, which isn't his kid, and that's what triggered him because he was about to walk out the door. Like Bob and I were talking about this.
Which, was it last episode or this episode that we found out that Kevin was like the only one who didn't know that Eddie was his kid?
Well, we find out that
Kevin and Eddie were basically
were the ones who were in the dark. So we found out it was last episode.
That was all in this episode, right? Yeah.
It was last episode for Kevin. That's
when he found out, but we didn't know that he didn't know any of it before that.
Well,
before it's said in this one.
And I say I'm not so sure he's going to be, a leader for very long. Is look at how his wife turned around and has become basically the new Maeve. Like I'm not even so sure she's telling the truth.
How is she the new Maeve?
I don't know if I believe that her fucking dad even did that. This is the first time she said
no.
I'm not so sure.
They've intimated through the whole season that she has
I think
problems
that's why
with
she
her
was
dad,
setting him up.
and that she wanted.
She could have been setting
and
up for a number of reasons.
Go
but
back
yeah.
and watch. I think I forget whether it was the first or second episode when they have her actually talking to her dad, and rewatch that sequence, knowing what she now opened up about, because it totally makes sense how creeped out and pissed off she is after that conversation, because the dad is basically saying you liked it. Anyway. Yes, I just don't remember whether it was first or second episode.
I'll have to go back and watch it, because otherwise I never got that impression. I just felt like she just felt like left out of the family fortune, and she wanted to get out of this family, and this was her out.
No, I also when we get to it, I see it as a genuine moment of connection between the two of them, because Kevin, again, like she said, talks in his sleep, but never opened up about it, and maybe didn't even remember consciously, what had happened to them. So there is a victim bonding where they've both been traumatized and will now be a united front against their at this point their continued monsters against them. They'll be monsters to them. I like it. I think it was a good place to go. Now Harry arrives on the scene, and he's like, I think he can tell Kevin's in a bad way. He brings his crew, his loyal two companions, Zasha and Kiki. Kiki, which
shut up. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. And they immediately start cleaning up. These people are the best crew. I want them to hire. I want to hire them as contractors at my house, because it seems like they can get things done. We get Harry escorting Kevin out of the house. You see him putting on the gear to start cleaning up. We cut back to the crew being moved to a new safe house. So they are moving Serafina, Jan, Gina, and Bella, and from the proper house of the Harrigans to another safe house. And our boy Paul is the one arranging this move. I think Paul, by the way, got a little bit of redemption this episode. We'll get to that later. But and as we're doing them arriving at the safe house, they are intercutting that with two sequences, which is cleaning up the crime scene and Maeve and Conrad being processed at the prisons. Kevin gets in with Harry. They drive off, and we get our intro sequence.
Really like the song.
Yeah, this show reminds me so much of The Sopranos when it hit. Obviously, it's English, but I think it fits that same kind of zone. And this is where Brahma's original prediction pays off.
Yeah, I didn't think she was a rat. I was wrong.
I said she was the
one.
rat 2 or 3 episodes ago, and Neil said, no, it's not her.
That's because they had outed Maeve.
And I said this I remember, you guys remember, because I said this to Brahma the other day too. It was like, I was trying to remember who fucking Harry told where the body was. And I was like, and I think you guys at the time reminded me that it was her, because I couldn't remember who it was. I'm like, whoever he told, that's the fucking rat.
I had said that same thing too. I think
so.
Yeah, I was like, he told her. He was in the car telling her, the lawyer.
Yeah, because I'm like, there's one other person that knows. Because I remember saying that clearly told, and it's got to be that chick or whatever.
But then they established that she didn't report that. Maeve reported that. Like, Maeve was the one who was intentionally fucking all that up. So I was like,
yeah, but
okay,
now we learned that there was things before that, and that's clearly how they found out about the body. But
yeah. So this is a fun sequence where Harry and her are having an interview, and Tom Hardy is the king of the "don't bullshit me" looks. It's so good.
It's one of the few times a double cross actually worked, because you kind of knew it was coming the way it was. It was funny though, because when she got shot, because she actually fucking thought for a second they were gonna let her live after that. That's what I was laughing about.
It's like, dude, you're a rat. How did you think this was gonna go? You fucked this up.
Yeah, so she's now in this sequence, she admits to being a rat for Richie, but she did not, and this is important, she did not give up Archie's body location, and she didn't give up the Antwerp, which we saw Maeve do that one, but Eddie had confessed that Maeve was the one who gave up Archie, but it was a little ambiguous again whether she had done it as well, but she didn't. So here we've got the interesting part where this is why the way the show came in, the part where you thought you had the leaks started with Archie's body. So, and she didn't do that, so it was kind of confusing, but it turns out she was leaking the other stuff to Richie.
Yeah.
And what's really fun is he gets the information and then he tells her to go ahead and go. And the look on her face as she's getting up to leave.
Yeah, and he's like, I'll call you.
Yeah, like it's right here where she's like, I'm not dead right now. And I think this is important because this is the part where, as Tom was pointing out, I think Harry is playing several steps ahead. And because she's a smart lawyer type who thinks she can talk her way out of things, by not killing her right now, she thinks that she still has value down the road and that Harry understands. And so that's where, by giving her this out right here, it pays off later for what Harry does. And this is, like Brahma said, this is the part where Kevin is now checking in with Harry and says, did you know about Eddie? And Harry's like, yeah, I knew. Bella told me. And then he goes, what were you doing in the hotel room with Bella? And Harry, because he's a good bro, shuts that down. Is like, dude, is that really what you're...
Are you really going to ask me that fucking
Are you really
question?
asking like that? And Kevin, and this is where it shows the depth of their friendship. He says, you're right, we're good. Which again pays off later because it's this relationship, right? The reason Harry is so loyal to the Harrigans isn't for Conrad, isn't for Maeve. It's because of Kevin.
He's loyal to Kevin.
He's loyal to Kevin.
Yeah,
Kevin,
we all kind of figured that.
I think he even says that at some point in this episode.
He says
like,
it. Yeah, he says
Kevin
it's
is my
Cat.
best mate. I'm
It's
not
because
betraying
they were
him.
he says
lovers
it's a
in
cat.
they were lovers
Yeah.
in jail. That's why.
Yes, we all know.
Well,
And this is something that
Kevin had a
that's-
different lover in jail. He
That wasn't
that
long
one's
dealt
ago.
with
gone
him a
now.
minute ago.
Yeah, but I mean, this is something where speaking of just kind of a meta commentary point, where shippers get things so wrong. Like, you know, when you see the MCU people who see a deep friendship like between Steve Rogers and Bucky, and they immediately think they must be gay. They don't understand that men can have really deep friendships, that when it's for a bro, you're going to do a lot of stuff to help your bro out, right? You know, like it's your boy. You're not going to, you're going to turn down.
And if
Cat.
that bro is mad, he'll do damn near anything.
Yeah, he'll pull the Hornets stinger out. He'll do all sorts of stuff.
He will assist in penetration. He will.
It's but this show, the core relationship and friendship is clear. It's Kevin and Harry, and I really like that. This is where they were able to quash it, just like they should be able to, having this deep a friendship for this long. So they agree that they've got to, and this is the part where Harry tells them like, either the Harrigans come out on top or the Stevens come out on top. There's not going to be two families after this.
Mm-hmm.
Are you with me? I need you. If you're not ready, if you're not with me, you need to get going. You're like, you need to get right. He's basically trying to say in a very bro way, are you right in the head after what you just did? Like, yeah. Are you in a place where you can actually be of assistance? Because I need you. And if you're not, I need you to tell me you're not ready.
Yeah, get your head in the fucking game.
And Kevin, to his credit, says, "I'm with you. We're doing this."
Well, then he says, "Give me an hour."
Yeah,
he's got to go talk to some people.
He's got to go take care of some things. So then we cut to Eddie, who's getting text messages, which we find out is from Maeve because they have phones.
I immediately called that. Yeah. I was like, "What's that say? Prison?"
Yep.
Yeah, that's got to be his mom, or that's got to be his grandma.
Yeah, so she summons Eddie. Bella watches him leave, And then we find out that Kevin was going to visit Conrad.
They
And
really
this-
do not want you to like Conrad anymore. Have you noticed that?
I don't think Conrad was likable to begin with.
This was the most uncomfortable fucking conversation. Oh,
I'm 100% on Kevin's team taking over
Oh,
this
God,
family now.
I think this was a mistake, though. He should have never let him know his play. That's
Why
where
is
I
it-
feel
I
because
mean,
he knows he's gunning for him now. That's the thing.
Yeah,
But
it gave
that's
too
the
much
point.
away.
Yeah,
Well,
that's my
I
point.
think-
Yeah,
but I think this was important because Kevin needed to stand up to his dad to do this. Like,
he did.
if
But
he,
you guys are taking like. Here's the thing: you guys are gonna have to understand. Sooner or later, Kevin's gonna die. Okay, I hate to break this to you. He's not gonna make it very long in the show. He's gonna make it into the second season. At some point, he's gonna be the reason that Harry loses it. You guys got to keep that in mind because he's too weak. He's too frail. Especially at the end of this show, it's like he's never
How
going
is
to be
he
able to
weak
get
and-
through all this.
how is he weak and frail at this point? He's overcome the trauma.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Yeah, he
That's the
did.
thing you guys think is just because he killed the guy, he didn't. If he would have walked out without killing the guy, that's him overcoming the trauma.
No, the
That's
guy.
okay,
he
you guys
did
are,
let the guy go.
It's writing 101. He was about to, and then he shot him. When he mentioned
And-
Kevin, basically, his own kid.
When he
that
mentioned
doesn't have.
Eddie, yeah.
Yeah, or Eddie, I mean, sorry.
How is I don't and then but when you see him later in the episode, there is no hesitation. He
I think
takes care
Kevin's
of
pretty
business.
focused now.
Yeah,
Maybe,
he
but
is. He has decided
guys
to
are
be
giving
the
him way
biggest
too much
monster
credit.
on the block. And Slender predicted it when Kevin was the quiet, reserved one who was making the right decisions, but no one was listening. And when he finally let his monster out, it's a big angry monster that's taking them out.
I thought that was
Yep.
the prison guard that
Yep.
let the monster out.
Oh, that was mean. All right. So we get this confrontation where this is great because I like the way it's framed too, right? You get the reflection on but he's letting Conrad know that Conrad was a dumbass who didn't know who the leak was. He killed the wrong guy. It was O'Hara, their lawyer. The Irish lawyer was named O'Hara, of course. That was and
Uhura.
yeah, and look, Conrad's like, what? Huh? And then Kevin says also like that that you are an out of control, person whose time
damn!
is
I
passed.
tried to do the Chad cheat on that one. I asked Google how many episodes of Mobland season 2 is Patty Considine signed for.
Oh, they haven't announced
It said, while the exact number of episodes for season 2 hasn't yet been explicitly stated, the information suggests that he will be present for the full season.
Yeah, they haven't really rolled it out. But yeah, so Kevin stands up to him and says, "Your time is done. You used to be somebody, but you're not. I'm the one in charge now." And then because Conrad
Well,
can't,
he also very specifically said, like, when you come back out of prison, you're in my world. And in
Yep.
my world, people pay for what they've done.
correct, which is why Conrad, and again, look at the way the framing on each shot where you get the reflection, just really well done. The Conrad just decides he's got to be such a dick, and he starts asking if Bella was still
Yeah.
a good.
He starts
person
asking
to
very
go with.
inappropriate questions about his daughter-in-law.
Well, his baby mama, effectively.
Yep.
He's Conrad has got that baby mama drama. So this was, and then that's where then we cut to this interesting conversation. This reminds me of it was very reminiscent of Game of Thrones when Sophie Turner's was asking about was it her, or when someone was asking Cersei about Joffrey, and she says, "You think if they're monsters from the start, but they're not." And she does that really good monologue about how he used to be such a good child and then something broke in him. In this case, it's Bella giving the speech. Like he was such a
Well,
he was
didn't
just
she
a
also specifically cite that Maeve broke him?
yes.
Like
In this case,
everybody
yeah.
comes back to Maeve on this one.
Yeah, in this case, she said he was just a happy, good child. He was having a great little kid life. Then when he was around 12 or 13, something drastically changed. And she says, and Maeve was the one who did it. I think we can sort of think of what that probably was, given the way Maeve has acted around him. But it's still only been implied and never outright said. It seems like they're kind of towing a very tight line on not coming right out and saying that Maeve jumped him as a child. So, but they're basically there, and this is in the context of Gina, who apparently might actually like what she thinks is the genuine parts of Eddie, and trying to figure out with Bella if that is something that's actually going to be possible to, it's the girl thing. I can save him. Can I save him? And Bella's kind of saying, maybe not. We're all broken and we're all that. And we got Jan, who was overhearing the same thing, probably in the context of thinking about who Harry is and what he does for a living. And if that is something she can continue to be right with. All right. Then we get the reveal that we get from Maeve to Eddie, where because the only two people who didn't know were Eddie and Kevin. So now they both know because Maeve let slip. Well, I'm not your grandmother. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you didn't know? Well, that certainly explains a lot. Oh, it was. I mean, what do you think of the way this scene was done, Tom?
I mean, I between her grabbing his leg earlier and then her telling him this the way she did, because this is kind of what we were saying before about he's expendable to her because he's not in her bloodline like Kevin is, right? So like, I don't know. And same thing with Serafina. So like, she's setting him up to basically get killed, especially when she tells him to go kill Harry. What the fuck does she think is going to happen? Not that I really think that Eddie's going to be stupid enough to do that.
Oh, the look he gives when she says kill Harry. This is his look.
He's like, starting to figure this shit out. I'm starting to wonder, unless Kevin kills him just out of pure just anger for some dumb reason. At this point, I think Eddie is kind of just getting. He might just be one of those characters that once all this shit kind of makes sense to him, he's like, "Fuck this shit, I'm out of here," and just completely flakes out and leaves. And we just don't see him for a while.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't know that we're gonna see an Eddie redemption arc.
Okay, I don't think it'll be a redemption arc so much as him just going like, okay, and then he just takes off for a bit until he comes back later.
We need to step back though to what started this conversation.
Because he's
like, she's like, it's going to be a new order when I get out of here. You're going to be the king and I'm going to be the queen. And you can see it in Eddie's mind. You can see the math going on. Like, but the king fucks the queen.
No, did you hear him when he says, "When you say queen, in what context?" It was such a great line.
It was so weird.
Yeah, it was right here where he's like, "In what context?" And that's where Maeve says, "Well, I'm not your grandma." And right here is when it hits him.
And he's still like, "Wait, but we're like, no. Like, I was okay with it when you told me to have gay sex with the Stevenson's kid, but because I'm still convinced that they were banging."
Yeah. So,
oh, you mean the other guy that he had killed? Yeah.
The guy he murdered in the first episode.
That's plausible. I don't know. He seems like he could be bi enough.
Yeah, he looks like it.
But the reason I say
he's seen one up close.
Eddie's only like one or two more revelations away from just saying, fuck this family. I think at this point, that's what I'm getting at because.
Well, he already did that.
Yeah, he kind of already is, but like, I mean, all he's got to do is hear like Harry's daughter tell him that, yeah, your grandma told me to stay the fuck away from you.
Yeah,
and he'll probably get even more pissed. Right, like that's just one more notch, and then there's a few other things and eventually when Kevin kind of gives him the cold shoulder or however he reacts to him, once they finally come face to face again. Now that both of them know, that's going to also. It's going to be interesting to see. It could go.
Yeah, I don't know. When those two come face to face, one of them dies.
Volatile. It could, or like I said, it could just be that Eddie just is like, "Fuck this," and just leaves. Like I see that as a plausibility
at the end,
too.
didn't he? I mean,
he just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
So
nowhere to be seen.
So he leaves the prison, and he's processing the reveal from Maeve that he's not really a Harrigan. Then we get the interesting call where Kat is now.
No, he's a Harrigan.
He's a Harrigan.
I mean, well, not really Kevin's son. He's Conrad.
He's a Harrigan, but he's not her daughter.
He's a first generation, not a grandchild
Yeah.
Harrigan. We get Serafina, who gets the recruitment call from Kat, where this is like
that's gonna come into play hard in season 2.
Well,
yeah, Kat's definitely gonna try and play the two sides.
Oh,
this
well,
is exactly what I was talking about a few weeks ago when I said I see it factioning off. Did I not say Serafina's going to go running one side and Kevin and Harry are going to go on the other?
You did, and I think we all came to the conclusion that we're going to be seeing 3 factions here soon.
I think there's going to be 3. Yeah,
there might be
4 if Eddie does his own
it
thing.
depends on how things go for Conrad and Maeve and Eddie.
Well, I think the old guard and the new guard are going to be fighting, and then I think Kat's going to come in and try and take over the whole thing.
What Serafina doesn't have is any of the muscle.
Right.
That all belongs to either Conrad
she's got
or
all the
Harry.
brains, yeah.
Harry, so she's not got
unless
the muscle.
Serafina aligns herself with Kat, and then she's got a
that's
whole
muscle.
new bunch of muscle.
Yeah.
But then why not just have a completely new organization then? Why bother with the Harrigans if you're Kat?
And that's kind of what I thought. Yeah.
Kat needs local. I mean, basically, think of it like a multinational corporation, right? You need.
She needs a regional manager.
She needs the regional manager, and she would want someone with name recognition.
But keep in mind, she doesn't care. She doesn't really. I don't think she really cares or wants Serafina. Who she wants is Harry. Harry is who she wants.
We get. Well, she says that explicitly later in the same episode,
and that's where that's why she didn't even tell Harry they'd talked or anything like that. Obviously,
yeah. I mean, she goes the extra
she's playing
mile.
that off because she literally pretends with Harry that she
Not
doesn't
to know the
Serafina's name.
Yeah.
So she's already setting it up that if Harry does turn her down, then. So was my mic not working that whole time?
Yeah,
it must.
I haven't heard
you
say a word.
This is the first time I've heard from you in like.
It was mercifully quiet.
I had an audio problem where I lost you guys' audio. I fixed that, and then nobody responded anytime I said anything. So I was like, I'm reloading.
Okay, we admit it. We were just blanking you. We could hear every word.
Twice tonight.
All right. So after the call from Kat setting up a dinner date with or lunch date with Serafina, we get Toby Jones over here with
huge pause.
Yeah.
Question: how's my audio been tonight?
Fine.
Been perfect.
I have identified the problem.
Did somebody just say something?
You farted? What?
What was the actual issue?
The issue is echo cancellation in StreamYard.
Yeah, never have any of the options checked.
Yeah, turn that shit off, and it will stop trying to adjust your Microsoft volume.
Well, yeah. The only time you should have it on is if you're not using headphones, and only idiots do that. So
I do it when I'm gaming. That's about the only time.
Yeah, that's a little different. But like, usually it's like old people or people we're interviewing who usually end up doing that. So like, yeah, they don't want to put headphones on.
Yeah. So
this guy's been in town for like 3 days.
The cop he got brought in and he's in charge of the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
I know it just seems funny that he's been in town for like 3 days at this point.
Well, this whole scene went exactly how I thought it would.
He's an old
man. All his stuff has gone pretty much how we've all pretty much predicted.
Yeah. Now
the only problem is he's stuck in a position where, he's got the lead Harrigans by the short and curlies, but he doesn't have his muscle anymore as far as the mob goes.
Yeah,
and this woman like bitch, how dumb are you that you can see this guy clearly?
I can see it. You can see it. We all can see it. You're fucking supposed to be a fucking detective lady.
Why would you go meet this fucking dude under a bridge in the middle of nowhere? What the fuck were you thinking?
Why didn't you get most of this shit up front? Exactly. Like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
The best part is
Dirty Cop.
He gives the full monologue about the ironic, the way to die. And he's basically telegraphing, you're dead now and you don't even know it. So he gives her the payoff that she thinks she's getting. And then two of Richie's guys come in. They chloroform her. I'm assuming chloroform because that's usually what it is if it's a rag over a person's face, and knock her out. And then they drive off, and he calls Richie to tell him that it's all done. So it's Richie's turn now to finish up his stuff on the Harrigans. Harry then calls O'Hara. All we hear is that he's got something he wants to do, and she calls Richie. And this is where we get the part where we don't, since they cut off the conversation, we don't know what the plan was, and we're in an ambiguous state. It's like Schrodinger's cat. At which person is she double crossing until we get the reveal later in the episode?
I mean, we all kind of, I think, predicted it, but
yeah.
like I said, this
is
is one
she
of the
doing
few
a double
times-
double or a double triple?
It's one of the few times in a movie or show like this where they do the double cross where it didn't piss me off.
Yeah,
right? Like,
she
Is that a
goes.
quadruple
so
cross
stupid.
then? Is that a quadruple cross?
It's
Kind of.
No, I think it just proved that she was more afraid of Harry than she was of Richie.
Well, she thinks she's smart, right?
Well, that's why I said Harry set this up, because by letting her go from that initial conversation, he's letting someone who's smart think that she can work her way out of it. And I can be valuable. I'll help them get Richie.
Right.
I'll prove that I'm still of worth, and I can, people who are smart can do mental
Well,
gymnastics.
they rationalize shit, don't they?
Yeah.
She rationalizes it.
Yeah, and at this point, they've got her basically cornered, right? So what is she going to do?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is, so Richie doesn't quite trust her coming to his house right now, because she gives him the setup that Kevin and Harry and all the rest are coming to her office, and then that she gives them the information on the safe house where the rest of the family's at, so that Richie can wipe out, settle all family business in one move. And he says, how do I know you're not setting me up? Call Harry right now on the phone and confirm it. And what's really cool about this scene is right after she gives the lines on why Richie should trust her, she says the same things to Harry. They make a point of showing up close where she's like, I know who's going to win this war, so I'm in here. Because Harry says
tie
over the
in with
phone,
John Wick. I have served. I will be of service.
So because Harry asked the same question, how do I know you're not at Richie's selling me out? And so she's giving the trust me. And apparently Richie genuinely believes it, because we see him start making his moves, and then Harry calls Zasha and them to get ready. Harry sends his crew. Then they're gonna keep some people at the bar, and then they're gonna split up most of their soldiers to go on these two missions, to go to O'Hara's office to kill Kevin and Harry, and then to go to the safe house to wipe out the rest of the family. Because from Richie's point of view, they've already got Conrad and Maeve locked up, so he can get them at his leisure. He's going to wipe out everybody who's still out, and then get Conrad and Maeve last. Which also fits with Richie's revenge plot, where he wants Conrad and Maeve to see that they lose everything before they die last.
Now, because here's the thing that's funny about this, because this is kind of, I've tried to rationalize this in both ways, the way she plays this, because she goes in and she tells him right where his family is. Why the fuck would Harry tell her that without that being a setup? So right there, that I kind of knew it was a setup, because obviously they had the conversation. Otherwise, why would she have that information?
She would have known where
But
the safe
then-
house was.
They just moved them, remember? That was the whole
But
thing.
that was their set safe house. That's she's the family consigliere. She's the Tom Higgins character.
Which they
for
did
their
a piss
family.
poor job of setting up that shit, because that was my other point. Because once we get to the other side of it, it feels like they just got him out of there in the nick of time, or they just got out in the nick of time. Like they weren't necessarily, shouldn't have been part of the plan. Like I don't think Harry would have put his family at risk. Like, so was she half-ass double crossing everybody at the same time? That's where I got confused.
If you think about it, so in the context of this episode, right when you saw Harry call Zasha, his people are already going to get his family out of the house. So they're already on.
Right, but my point is, why the fuck would Harry or why wouldn't he have her then tell her a completely different?
Yeah,
It
why
makes-
not? Why not set it
Yeah.
up so that the families never come in harm's way? Like
That's my
send them
point.
to a
Exactly.
warehouse somewhere.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense unless she is giving up that information without Harry knowing it, right? Because at the same time, that's the dead giveaway to the audience that it's a setup. Because otherwise, why would Harry give her that information, or why would she give that information up, putting the family at possible risk? Because Harry does end up losing a member of his crew, right? So they make a
We'll
point
get
that
there.
this was.
Don't. No
Well, that
I
was
spoilers.
know,
gonna-
but I'm just saying
Maybe-
that's
That
where
would've-
my confusion is coming
That
in.
would have
is because I was
happened.
trying to balance that
the
out
way
in my
they
head,
did
trying
the
to figure it
setup.
out.
That would have happened anyway.
Maybe he was waiting to see or get confirmation for exactly which way she was going to play it.
Well,
So
I
she
think-
has them supposedly meeting at her office. If he had anybody tracking her or has any way of knowing where she actually is, then he knows right then when she says to come meet her at the office and she's not there, that it's playing out the other way.
I think we're kind of maybe overthinking it. When you're having somebody lie, essentially, which is what she's doing, it's much easier to come off believable if you're using a mostly true thing.
I get that. But part of the setup is that, like, for this whole thing to work, Harry has to anticipate, and I can believe he would anticipate this. So I'm not saying that this is out of the realm of possibility, that Richie will have her call him right in front of him, right? So like for that all that shit to work, he has to pretty much know everything that their people are going to know, where they're going to be going and when they're going to be there, and vice versa, right? So that's what I'm saying is, for him to put his family in harm's way does not make sense to me unless there was some other aspect of this.
Harry trusts his people, Zasha and his people. Like they're
Yeah, but
he
still,
knows that-
why would you
Still
just send
a
him to
huge
some
risk.
Yeah.
Also, only sending 2 people to intercept and take care of the family. I don't disagree with Tom on this one. It is the thinnest part of the story.
I think no. I mean, I think Harry would.
And I could buy it
anticipate
if, and let me explain why I can buy it that Harry didn't know that she was going to tell him that, is that he only did send 2 people, and they weren't necessarily expecting to get jumped. They were just going there to protect his family in general, just in case
No,
something else went
no.
wrong.
They
But
they
clearly knew
acted.
something was happening, and that's why the whole thing to me just seems weird. Is why would Harry even allow that? Right? Why don't you just tell them a false location where they just come into an absolute fucking, like, why would you even put your family at risk at that point?
Why don't you just set up another one of these?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the part that just didn't make sense to me, and I'm sorry I'm like hung up on it, but like that's the only part of the plan that just didn't quite jive with me. I'm like, unless she
Send them to that empty house that Kevin just recently made and blow that up.
yeah, no shit, right? There's a million other places you could have said they were that I just don't understand why you would give them that location, knowing you could possibly just a smidge,
That could go wrong, yeah.
something
wrong.
could go wrong. Yeah.
I mean,
Harry's usually more careful than that. That's my point. So it almost felt
Yeah.
like there was some point to that, maybe that she gave up that information when she wasn't supposed to, perhaps, or it wasn't thought well enough through by the writers, one or the other.
big
It was
gamble,
a
big
little
reward.
sloppy. It was a little sloppy.
So this is the part where this is where you get the confirmation of where O'Hara was on that it was a double cross, as Tom said.
Yeah,
Because we get Paul sitting right outside watching them go into the office. Our a crispy lad.
And Paul picked the right team. I told you guys Paul was good people.
yeah, they've made sure that we've gotten to know him a little bit better in the last few
Yeah.
episodes
He's
compared
a
to how they
funny
introduced him.
So Richie's guys get into O'Hara's office because they've got the code. They call to say that they're there. That triggers Richie asking O'Hara to call Harry. He says he's 5 minutes out. Richie calls back his crew, say, get ready, they're coming in. Then we cut back to Bella, who is watching live the carnage that has been wrought by her surreptitiously recording her Minister of Parliament father taking bribes from Syrian gun dealers because he is now dealing with the fallout of that. That's when Eddie shows up being full smug Eddie and saying, "Did you know? Or when were you going to tell me? Like, what's the deal?" And she's
What is that
upset.
shirt?
English.
That fucking shirt.
Yeah. Eddie starts calling his mother various English insulting words, which I don't know at what level YouTube considers those good or bad. So
Yeah, I wouldn't say all of them.
yeah.
But here's one of the reasons why I said before that I think that there's a possibility that Bella might be manipulating Kevin is because she's afraid of Eddie. That was why I was saying that too.
She's not afraid of Eddie. She loves Eddie. It's her son.
She should be afraid of him.
I was gonna say he almost killed her.
She should
I know.
be.
It's
will
not
be
that.
now.
No, but it's not that she's afraid of him. It's that she's
She
a
is
mother.
now. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think she's afraid of him even now. I think she sees Eddie and she sees.
I don't know
what-
about you, but if somebody strangled me to the point where I almost got killed and people had to pull him off me, I'd be scared of that motherfucker.
She. All right. This is
I'm
why.
sorry.
This is why they made a point of having her conversation with Gina earlier in the episode. She will always see Eddie as that 5-year-old happy child who was broken by Maeve, and she will always fight to try to save him and not think of him as the bad guy. Any bad things he does, she will say is the fault of
Right.
Maeve.
Okay, fine. Part of it you're right because of the way she reacts. I'll agree with you there, but I'm still not wholly convinced that she's not manipulating still. Like there's something about her. which seems
I'm
very
convinced that
manipulative.
she's just got the wrong opinion of Eddie and needs to realign her perspective.
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, Slender, I'm sure you get it too. Like, I mean, sometimes
I get the mother's
it
thing
takes
where,
it takes a long time for a mom to be ready to,
Yeah, well, when the kid's choking you out, I feel like you've reached that point.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. The way she reacts afterwards, I can see where he's coming from. But like,
Yeah, so she tries to give him the "you're loved, I love you, we can get through this" hug,
You're good
my
enough,
psycho.
you're
You're-
smart enough,
you're
and
my
doggone
psycho.
it, people like you.
and he proceeds to go super psycho and like start first trying to crush her skull, and then he's getting her to do the choke out. This is when we get Zasha and them arriving on scene, and he is about to just wreck Eddie.
Oh, I wish
And-
you would have, dude. Kiki, oh,
Yeah, and
it would have been a
that's
great
where
thing.
Bella says, "No, let him go. He's fine. He's fine. Let him go," because she's the loving mother who believes in the possible redemption of her son. It's no different than Luke Skywalker believing his dad could be redeemed.
Yeah, but Luke Skywalker was right.
Yeah. Eddie
mean-
is not Darth
I mean,
Vader.
to be fair, it's not. I mean, if Luke had known that he completely wiped out a preschool class, maybe he might have said, "Dad, I think you're a little bad." So
He could still sense the good in him.
my favorite part of this, by the way, is when he gets shoved out. Zosh doesn't miss the beat to give him the gut punch on the way out.
And then we don't see him after this. He disappears.
She,
and leaves.
She might be like my favorite character of that, like the underling soldier people, because it's so great. Like she's
Dude, she could have her own spin-off.
yeah. I just
I would
loved her
love to see her adventures in Mobland.
Call it
because-
Ballerina.
because she just nailed him right in the gut. Just as like we're letting you out, but we're not happy about that. Like you need a reminder.
But yeah, that's the last we see of him, isn't it? He walks
yeah,
up that
he
corridor.
walks
this
out.
episode, yeah. So we don't
Yeah.
have no idea what he's going to be doing next.
So then we see the crew of Richie's guys arriving on scene. They get into the house, and the way it's cut, this is another thing that reminds me of the Antwerp sequence, where we're not quite sure at the timeline points where this is happening. So this speaks to Tom, because the way it's cut is like they're arriving right after Zasha and them, but I think there is as we see, a separation in time. Because
yeah, it just still I don't understand. Like even if anyway, but
yeah, so the crew at the safe house calls Richie to say there's no one there. And that's when Richie's guy notices Paul standing outside,
And Paul pulls a fucking Joker.
and he gives now lighting the Christmas tree lights. What was his nickname for himself? It was like I believe it was some reference to how endowed he was. And this is great. This is such a Paul moment. He hits the button. It doesn't work. Like the Joker sequence, like Slender said, he hits he doesn't realize it's on a slight delay. And then it goes off and blows up the entire room of people. And that's
no, he didn't realize he needed to hit the button twice. He even says, because the first time you hit it, it arms the weapon. The second time you hit it activates the weapon.
Yeah. He needed some chips to be able to do that.
He didn't have his packet of crisps.
Yeah. O'Hara basically says to Richie, "You're fucked. I was blaring on you." So this is where we see
this is weird. Like, why would you have them wandering the fucking forest? This is the stupid part to me. The whole never send them there. Yeah. You would never send them there in the first place. That's my whole point.
So
I gotta agree with Tom on that one. It was weird.
So they set off a big a grenade. This is where, unlike Ballerina, they have the mega grenades that, even though they're handhelds, can apparently blow up entire floors.
I mean, they were all kind of standing near each other, but yeah, it was pretty terrible.
By the way, here's the explosion, Slender, from that one grenade.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty bad.
It seemed. All right, let me. Yeah, it's one small hand grenade.
Yeah,
that's the
nope.
Oh my god, it's a toy robot.
Dude, that would not have damaged the furniture on the far side of the room.
And this is the what's left of that room after that. So they go in and now clear it. They're shooting any stragglers left over.
Gets the double tap. The
idiot. Kiki, why did you not double tap? Why'd you roll the guy over?
So I watched it a couple times because he does kick the gun away. He kicks the weapon away.
You still should have double tapped.
Double tap him.
Yep. This is the Zombieland rules. He had kicked the main weapon away, but when he rolls him over, he's got a holdout piece, and he gets him right in the throat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was inevitable.
And then Zachi just unloads.
Well, and this is why, like you guys were saying before, like 2 guys is all you're gonna send. Like
that was my thing.
Yeah. And man,
if they're good enough though.
I don't know if taking his pulse was worth it at that point. Because even if he still had one, where that bullet wound went in.
I mean, if this guy would have watched Kentucky Ballistics, he'd have known that you can just stick a thumb in it.
Yeah, he had an emergency tracheotomy done, so
he didn't need one.
You gotta stop the bleeding, man. Wrap your shirt around your thumb.
Your best bet at that
stick
point.
Your thumb right up in there. Yeah. And hold it there and maintain pressure and start heading to the hospital.
I will say I do.
Which is about 5 hours away because they're out
I respect the show for having given us just enough time where we felt that one. Like we had just enough character development with him.
Dude, I liked Kiki. Kiki and Sorsha both. Like I feel bad. They
I knew we were gonna lose somebody at some point on the good side.
They were good crew.
So. That didn't surprise me.
Now, this is where we see Kevin, and this is why Harry made sure that Kevin was in his right headspace, because it's just the 2 of them going into whatever is left in Richie's hideout.
Dude, let's be honest. With who's left in Richie's hideout, we already know Harry could have taken this solo.
Yeah. And it looks like Harry, what's nice is Harry's letting Kevin get some of his rage out. Because look, he's walking through the room. Kevin's already taking the shots at these guys, and Harry hasn't even raised up his arm yet.
Harry's being a bro. He even lets Kevin get the glory kill.
Yep. So this was the stupidest part. If you're Richie, do you really think taking O'Hara as your hostage was a good? This is a
Yeah,
good
that's
defense.
hilarious.
Yeah,
That
you
is
think,
fucking
you think
hilarious.
that's gonna work, huh?
I knew exactly what, like, sure we all knew what was going to happen next.
Yeah.
As if he give a shit about the
Exactly. It's like, oh God, do him a favor. Like,
Dude, I was completely certain when they walked in that they had both watched Speed. Like they knew to shoot the hostage.
pop quiz,
Well-
hot shot.
Yeah, I guess desperation move. So Harry.
Well, he was going to kill her anyway, right? Like, we all knew it. Like I said, he just basically did him a fucking favor by grabbing her. Like, it's like, this is so silly. Like, but like it was funny though because it was handled well because it's like, Richie, you dumb shit.
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep it muted, but just they walk in and Harry, no hesitation.
Immediately.
Yeah,
Just
yeah. There was no hesitation.
standoff, no discussion. It was just immediately right to the
That's
chest.
the way to do it, though. Don't
She's
talk,
down.
just shoot. Don't talk, shoot.
And then, like Slender said, Kevin came up right behind Harry and shoots Richie. He's unloading.
I really thought he would have tortured him a bit more, though.
Dude, he
Kevin's not
handled
the
that
torture,
perfectly. He's just like, look at me. Look at me.
See, that's
At
why.
this point, you don't want to prolong it too much.
The Harrigans send their regards, and then he shot him right in the fucking eye.
Well, this is where I think, to speak to where I see the evolution of Kevin, he is not an out of whack person like Conrad or then. He comes in, he does the business, he doesn't linger on it, he just finishes it. Because there's no like
he doesn't need to cut anybody's tongues out.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to eat anybody's eyes.
Yeah, Maeve and Conrad would have done some like ironically James Bond villain type shit, and whereas like just he's methodical about it, takes out Richie, and then we get the O'Hara is on the ground, like, and she's still part of her is so shocked that this is the turn of events. that she actually and she's still trying to like argue with him about not
She's
killing
like,
her.
Harry, he's not even talking. He's just like,
You're right.
you're taken care of.
Right there. And just like she was trying, Harry's not about it. It's done. And that's when the family, those old Nokia phones,
Yes.
which apparently still work, and they still have that same doo-doo-doo-doo-doo like ringtone. It gets the Wars 1 message. I'm glad that it still works on the frickin' network. She gets signal. Look at all those bars she gets inside the prison. That's a really solid
3G.
service. Yeah. So, and then we get the interesting.
Did she have that up
exchange.
her vagina?
No, that if you're
She
a
had
crime
5
lord,
of
you
them.
can.
No, she had 5 of them up her vagina for various uses.
She had one in every pocket.
She got them somebody to call her
That's a
on all
whole
5 of
big-ass
them at once.
Saggy prison pocket. Yeah.
So Conrad and Maeve are having their discussion, and this is
the
Helen.
dumbest conversation, and those two are both fucking crazy, and they deserve each other. And the biggest disappointment in this entire season is that neither of them are dead.
Oh, they will be soon enough. I think that this shows us just how crazy fucking Conrad is. Basically, he is Biden at this point. He's completely lost it. And Maeve is starting to lose it too, right? Like she's gotten to this point where does she think that Eddie is going to be able to pull the shit off that she just said? Because that's the only way that she wins this war, right? Is if she just so happens to dethrone Cabin and Sophie and Serafina or whatever. Because otherwise,
I think it's interesting in that she said that she set up tests for all of them to see, almost implying she wanted to see which one of them was the true Harrigan to come out.
You
on
believe
top.
that?
Yeah, I don't
Maeve
buy
is
it.
crazy enough where I think that in her mind
she is
might
the
believe
biggest
it.
bullshitter in the fucking world.
Yeah, I don't think she has ever meant a single thing she said. Like she
may have been
just
testing
fucking
some people,
says shit.
but she's making that shit up to Conrad. Like
She's
she
a
knows how to play
sociopath.
him like a fiddle.
Yeah.
Exactly. She knows how to play him like a fiddle.
She was
she's
a
crazy
drama
enough
nerd in high school. I can guarantee it.
This bitch
And I
is
think the
crazy
reason
enough to
she
think
told
that
them to go after. Go ahead. Sorry, Tom.
I was just gonna say, this bitch is crazy enough to think that Eddie is actually going to consider being like some sort of fucking king and queen of the fucking family with her.
No, I think she's pissed at Eddie for him harping the Conrad on her, and I think she was trying to get him to go after Harry as a suicide mission, just hoping it would clear him off the table.
But I mean that too. But I mean, she grabbed his leg before that, right? Like, or was it after that?
No, that was at the dinner party.
At the dinner party
that was before she got called
Conrad
out.
That's
revealed
what I was wondering.
that
It was
he had
before because
told everything.
Yeah, so this has kind of been her, like, that is her plan. But I agree with you, Brahma. At this point, she was setting him up to get killed. Ugh,
Yes,
if I could talk. Yeah,
her pawn turned against her, and now she wants him cleared from the table.
and
Or
that's
the
why
boys,
she's,
I guess, since
that's
it's a
why
pawn.
she's claiming to Conrad it was all a test.
Right.
Because she knows Conrad will be like, yeah, I'll pass that fucking test. And that was the other thing is, like, I was expecting him when he come out there walking down, you know, to fucking, well, we haven't got there yet, but anyway.
I guess Brendan failed his test.
Apparently. So, all right. So this is where Harry revealed he recorded the undercover cop admitting that she was going to set them up.
Told you.
Which is why he let her leave in the first place.
Told you.
No, but that wasn't because the house was wired for sound. He used his phone.
No, but I said he recorded her. He
Well,
had
I
something
think-
on her.
Yeah.
Close enough.
He
God
used
damn it.
her to make an out. That's what he did. Like,
And this is where Kevin has a fun's like, how about we wait a week before we do that? And he's like, and then Harry has the best line. Well, we've got to find a new
well, we do
lawyer
got to
anyway.
find him a new lawyer.
Yeah.
Yep.
This was sad. Jan comes back in because the job's done, right? And she sees that she's still sitting there looking at her best friend, her work buddy, who's dead now, and then she's got to get back to work. And she's like, I'm mad at him for dying. And she kind of is right. He should have double tapped. But
He did not follow the double tap protocol.
yeah. And this is where you can see Jan, like, obviously this is important because it's going to lead up to what happens shortly. Jan is completely like, what the F is happening to my life? I was just here with my daughter and now there's bodies everywhere.
It's a lot of bodies and explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
Did
this was
to herself.
This was one of my favorite parts. This is the look of someone who knows his shit is weak, right? Richie is gone now. He thought he helped set up the Harrigans to clear the deck so that Richie could effectively be the only game in town in the criminal underworld of London, the head guy. And now Richie, he cuts to Richie's place and Richie's dead. And what's nice is they didn't even like hide what was going on. They had, I believe, O'Hara.
No, they didn't clean anything up. No
was-
crew came in to make this look good. Like they left the corpses. This was a message.
And it was a message because they left O'Hara there so that they knew that it was, one of. This serves a couple purposes. It shows this is the punctuation that the Harrigans win the gang war, but it's also for Jaime to see that we cleared the rat out, right? We've won and the rat is gone. And it's
And
the
they
most
know
public
that
way
you're-
they could do it.
And they also knew it was a way of showing that they knew they were in bed together too.
Yep. Yep. So he wanted to. This one was left public. Serafina and them, they all go to the main house. Now this is where we get the interesting part. With the cat brings in Harry to have a little sit down, and this is where
it does
Brahma
not go
mentioned.
well.
This is why Brahma mentioned where Cat is playing coy because she pretends. Right, she says the same words too. I hear that one girl has balls, which is exactly what she
The half
said to
sister. I don't
Serafina.
even know her name.
Yeah, but I don't know what's her name again. And Harry's like, it's Serafina. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to like. And then, like Tom said, she's playing everybody because she immediately says to Harry, "All right, so Kevin's made his move. Serafina's got balls. I need to know for each of them how I can take them out quickest, because we just want to clear the deck, and I'm gonna absorb this." And this will be my territory.
So are we pretty sure
she?
she's just another bigger mob boss then now? Is that what we think?
I think she's just.
I don't think
claiming
she's government.
Yeah, I
if
don't
that's
think
what
so
you're
either,
asking.
but-
I think
Yeah.
she wants to. What she has a vision for is effectively making Harry the head of London branch, and
Yeah, she's trying to go global.
Well,
I
no,
was just
she
gonna
already
say
is
that's the thing
global.
I noticed and thought about was that she's American, and that's like, yeah,
She's already global. Like she's like think
Yeah.
about it, she runs stuff with Jaime. Jaime listens to her. I think what she wants to do is use Harry to clear out the rest of the Harrigans, get them gone, and then Richie's gone, the Harrigans are gone. Her person, who is now Harry, will be running all of London, possibly all of England, as a subdivision for her of
Yeah.
her whatever criminal enterprises.
well, that's her
You know,
plan. Yeah,
She's opening up a new regional office, and he's going to be the vice president in charge of
Yeah,
it.
and he'll
But-
make all his money, and she'll get kickbacks from him.
but this is where things are not going to work out because he's loyal to Kevin. Kevin's going to get killed by her, which is going to turn him against her. And that's what I say. I'm not so convinced that Kevin's going to make it very long. You guys could
Yeah,
be
I
right.
don't.
I'm not.
I don't think Kevin's long for this world either.
Yeah,
I'm
see, I was
still
waiting for you to
betting
chime
on
in,
Kevin.
Brown. That's where I know your fucking mic must not have
I
been
did
working.
when the mic
I'm,
was.
I'm still betting on Kevin.
I just
I
wasn't
am-
sure
Kevin
where
ain't
my
shit
mic had
without
actually
Harry.
died.
No, but I think this show is going to buck the trend a little bit because it's going to be a story about Guy Ritchie, right? He's not the creator, but he's the executive producer and has some control. Look at, I would say something like The Gentleman, right? Remember Matthew McConaughey's character?
Dude, look at
versus
Snatch.
Charlie Hunnam.
Didn't everyone think that Turkish's little buddy was going to get killed at some point?
You guys are looking too far into that. Like, he's not nearly as big of a part of that story as Kevin is.
I don't
of
think
this
he's as
stuff.
hands-on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean,
I
I get
think
where you're
there's.
coming from, but yeah, go ahead, Brahma, because you were muted earlier. or
I
whatever.
ultimately feel like they're just setting up mob boss of the season each season at this point. The fact that they took out Richie so easily and so quickly in one season, and then they've got her already set up for the new season. It does feel like it could get very formulaic in that way, but I think they'll throw enough twists and theory crafting in for us to stay interested.
I mean,
I
even
do
if
love
it's
that
just
during this
executed well.
conversation, he tries so politely to decline her offers. And then
But-
finally,
all right.
he's like, you know how you were asking if there's a world in which I take a favor from you and then tell you to go fuck yourself? We're living in that
This
world.
is that world.
No, all right. So my absolute favorite part about this was the callback to the interrogation with the police officer when she's
Yeah,
like,
that was so weird.
Is it a ship or a plane?"
Right.
And she's like, "Are you fucking with me?" Because it shows you, it really shows you that for Harry, this is no different than when he was not turning on the Harrigans with the cop. Like she's doing a different, instead of the turn to be state's evidence so we can not prosecute you. She's giving the full temptation of the devil in the desert, right? I will offer you the world, right? If you turn on it. And he's saying no.
I'm still trying to figure out what exactly she is, because if she was mob and he answered her like that, I don't know why he's walking out of the building.
Because
No,
he's
that-
Harry.
Because no, I mean she's. Do you see her? She walks.
My
with a
theory.
Yeah, go ahead.
My theory is that she is mob, but she's U.S. Right, and like you guys are saying, she wants
Tied
to
to
go global.
larger mob.
Yes, she wants to go global, and to Harry, it's more important that it stays in the Harrigan family, i.e., Kevin. Right, like that's what his whole goal has been from day one, is to make sure his boy takes over.
Well,
'cause
no,
that's
it's-
what he's loyal to.
Honestly, if she'd have said, yeah, I don't want Conrad and Maeve anymore. Kevin seems cool. If Kevin's in charge, you can be his enforcer. You guys come into the fold under me. I
Should've been
think
cool.
Harry would have considered it.
Exactly. Exactly my point.
Yeah.
Because that's what I think it is I don't think he likes the idea of outside people encroaching in on their fucking domain. Right? Because that's what he's doing now, is he's clearing the fucking decks himself for him and Kevin, or more so for Kevin. Because like I said, even though he's the one doing all the fucking work, basically, he just wants to kick back and protect Kevin and let Kevin continue on as the king, right? He just wants to be the protector.
Yeah, he has
doesn't
no
want that
desire to take over.
responsibility. Exactly.
He's not interested.
So eventually he's going to be thrusted into that. And that's why I think Brahm and I are coming from this area of Kevin is going to live for a little bit longer, but there's only one thing that Kat can do besides go out, because going after his family is not going to bring him on board with her. But if he doesn't have Kevin anymore, then what has he got left? Nothing. So that is the only thing that she has to go after him with. But at the same time, from a storytelling point, that's the one thing that's going to make him turn on her besides killing his family, right? So with that once he finds out that she's the one responsible, that's going to make him turn on her, setting up probably season 3's arc or the end of season 2. And I agree with Brahma.
End of season 2, I think Kevin dies.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an ongoing, like, if it continues through like 4 or 5 seasons, every season's going to have a new, bigger, badder boss that they have to deal with. Like after this, it'll probably be like the Italian mob or something like that.
I hope they don't drag it out like that.
I hope not. I think this
seasons max.
This might have 3 seasons in it.
How quick is it going to be before she learns who Eddie is?
Because
I can see that playing into it next season.
I don't think it matters for the equation for her at all.
It might not, because it depends on how Eddie. See, here's the thing. I think
she's pretty sexist.
Well, what I think, why I think Eddie's going to disappear and then reappear again later is because he's flaking out right now. He just got kind of like beat down in so many different fucking ways, emotionally and physically. He's going to reemerge as the second coming of Conrad. And that's where we're going to see him probably in the third season at some point.
Oh, you think he's going to go start his own crew?
Yes, he's going to come back as a completely different character, because that's where not like a different character, but you know what I mean, like
a more confident character,
a reemerged version of himself. Yes, because he has now been face to face with what he really is, and that is a piece of shit.
And now his
world's been shaken up. Yeah,
I'm more thinking that Kat is going to find out who he is, and Eddie stays kind of off screen, but we find out that Kat takes him under her wing, and then
that could happen too
in the background, using him to go after both Serafina and Kevin after like 3/4 of the season. You see him come back about 3/4 through the season as Kat's little hitman on the rest of the family.
That, or I was saying it as he comes back as a threat to Harry later on, because he will.
When are we
getting
the next season?
I think his disappearance is that, I mean, he's going to disappear, but Kat's going to find him, and she's going to start doing exactly what Maeve did and start, using him as a tool.
Perhaps that's a plausibility too. I can see that. See, and that's the beauty of the shows so far with him and how they left him, is they could come back next season and he's right there, right next to everybody, and just, being the sour little puss that he is. Or he does that, what we said, and through that, it could be both, basically, Kat funding him, feeding him men, and all that kind of stuff for muscle.
For a war.
Yeah, and to build him up for a war as a competitor. And yeah, it could very well be, because like we said, Serafina doesn't necessarily have much muscle on her side, right? So.
No, all her muscle got their asses kicked at that stupid exchange in Antwerp. Worst fucking security team ever.
Well, they were a day player.
Yeah, they were just hired. I'm also curious if we're going to have a time skip in between seasons and how long that would be. I think so too. I think you could have most of the whole situation with Conrad and Maeve being in jail time skipped, and have the family running like a year, 2 years later without them having Kevin head the family, and then they get out.
Yeah, I think you're right, Brahma. In fact, I think they might already be out of prison by the time we get to next season. Because we've already set it up that in a week they're going to leak that audio. So once they leak that audio, then there's going to be pressure that's going to get them released anyway. So it's going to pick up like a month or two probably, or maybe even right after they get out of prison, depending on how long of a time frame they kind of put in there. Because I don't think they're going to go all the way to trial, because they already said they're going to leak that to the press, right? So
they're going to give it. They're going to they'll get a new lawyer. The lawyer will go to court.
Lawyer will use it to get the stuff thrown out.
All right. Yeah. So.
Well, he said, do we leak that now, or should we wait a week? Remember? So that means they're just going to leak it. Yeah. Right. So yeah.
Well, they're going to leak it by giving it to the lawyer so that the lawyer can get it into the hands of the right people.
Well, that's what I'm saying. My point is I don't think they're ever going to get to trial. Exactly. I don't think it's ever going to get to trial. That's my point. So, like, why would they? And hopefully they do that, because who wants to sit here? And because that's one thing I hate when they do in a show. It's always the bane of a show. There's only been a few shows. Cobra Kai is the only one I can think of up front, where they've sent a main character to prison or jail and it didn't destroy the fucking show. Weeds, fucking My Name is Earl. I'm sure there's even more where characters are sent to prison and they stay there for too fucking long and the show gets too fucking bogged down in that shit. And that's where I
Sons
see
of Anarchy to a degree.
I haven't seen that, so maybe it has, but like
Yeah, that
in
happened
this
a lot,
instance though, I can see like this whole thing with the leaking that audio is going to be a way to jump through time to where we already know that they're not going to go to trial. They're going to get out of prison. So, yeah. Anyway, that was my point.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so following Harry telling Kat F off, Kevin comes home and Bella was watching, again, clips of her dad and being eviscerated by the English press. And Kevin is standing up for himself, basically telling her, I know Eddie wasn't mine. There's a new sheriff in town, I'm the big boss. I need to know that you're with me. He's coming off all tough, and then Bella kind of breaks him by just saying, you talk in your sleep. I know what happened to you.
And I get what you guys are saying, but also
knows now. Everybody knows.
but the fact that she has known all this time, one way or the other, it like because she's never really respected him, and the way she's like cozying up to him here, like why didn't she say something sooner?
I don't think it's
she's
that she
ever
didn't
disrespected him.
She's never been like all that into him though. She's always kind of looked down on him and treated
Because
him
he
like
had
he's
his
less.
problems and he wasn't dealing with them.
Yeah.
I think
That's true,
they
Brian.
do-
You might be right. That might change things to come. That's
Yes,
true.
things
but-
have changed now.
I
And-
think they do love each other, but they're both so wrapped up in their own bullshit that they have been unable to connect.
I don't
That's
think
what
they
I was-
love each other until now. Maybe.
Yeah,
I was going to
this
say,
is-
I always felt like she kind of got pawned off on him by Conrad just so Conrad could keep her close.
Well, that's what that
Yeah.
was. But here's the
So
thing.
there was
This
never
is-
love until now they've got something to actually
Yeah.
bond over as a
And
husband
this is
and wife.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking. Like each of them were emotionally
if
closed
she's telling
off.
the truth. If
Oh,
she's telling the truth.
no, she's telling the truth.
I think she is because
go-
you might be right.
I'm
I
telling
gotta
you,
rewatch
Tom,
the whole season.
Go
man.
back and just you don't even have to watch the whole season. Just that conversation.
Tom, this is fiction.
with-
Usually, when a woman says something like that in fiction,
Yeah, but
they
we're
are
getting to a
telling
point
the truth.
where it's like it's too much, right? Like we're getting towards way, especially if that's because you guys were implying that his mother fucked him too, Kevin. Like if that's the case too, this shit's getting way too Game of
no
Thrones.
Eddie.
Yeah,
She never.
no.
They
Not
never.
Kevin.
I don't think they did anything. Do you really?
We think that's what broke Eddie when he was 12 or 13 years old.
I don't. Okay, I'm not on that. I'm not on that boat. I think that Maeve wants to fuck Eddie.
that I agree
No, I
with.
think
Yes.
she has. No, I think
You
she
think
did.
she
No,
has?
I think it was
that's
implied.
part of her controlling of him.
If that's the case,
I
that's
don't
getting way
because-
too much of this shit.
I
already,
don't because Eddie reacted when she said, the king and the queen, it'll be you and me. He was like, in what context? I don't think he'd have said that if they had fucked.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's where I'm coming from. Is like it doesn't seem like it's gotten to that point yet, but that's where I think Maeve is kind of at this point where she's have this delusions in her fucking brain of what the fuck is happening in reality when it's not. Like,
So we
'cause she
think.
thinks-
Tom,
Yeah.
the other reason I think Bella's probably telling the truth is, something like that does break you to the point that, yeah, you would not have a problem being one of many essentially call girls for Conrad.
okay, fair enough on that.
Sexual
that I will-
deviance, that kind
I
of
will
stuff, because of
concede
being
to.
broken.
Agreed.
But like, I'm not so sure about the Eddie thing. I'll fight more on that one because like we're getting to this point where it's like if she's had it happen to her, Kevin was raped in prison. Fucking,
Yeah,
we're getting
I'm
to this
not.
point where we've had so many fucking people that have done stuff with people, and like Conrad's done it to everybody. So like,
I'm not hard and fast on
I
the
don't know
Maeve
that
Eddie
we've-
thing. But
no,
to be fair-
I'm not for the Maeve and anything.
just
I don't
to
think it
clarify,
happened.
I think
I don't
she
think-
wants to happen, but
hold
yeah,
on. I don't think Conrad has ever graped someone per the show. He has had lots of affairs.
he's kind of
But-
grapey.
Well,
Yeah,
but
Conrad. I think Conrad was thinking about getting a little grapey with Harry's daughter.
Yeah,
But
no, I
no,
think
I-
with Conrad, it's the same as Trump. When you've got power, women throw themselves at you.
You can do
and
whatever you
sometimes he
want.
thinks they are. He can get away with things too. And that's what I'm saying. As he's gotten older, I think he's gotten to the point where he's probably done a few more. I think he's done some things that are worse than we know.
Probably
Yeah,
some
Conrad's
SA.
the problem.
He's a pervert. Yeah.
Probably some SA, but maybe not actual raping.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Like I wouldn't say it's like well, then again, I would,
because he could have forced himself on.
I am willing to bet that at some point Conrad has pulled the gorilla thing and graped another man for dominance.
I could see that.
I mean,
see, this is where I'm
I
not
don't-
below him. He'd do anything because he could get away with it.
I don't think
there's
And this is
also
where, but sorry, just real quick. This is where I see Eddie coming as the second coming of Conrad. They're a lot alike.
Yep.
and the other
Very
thing is
self-indulgent. Sorry.
Conrad probably did force himself on Bella even after Kevin married her.
That's what I'm thinking
because
too.
that would be the reason
100%.
that Kevin would not have a clue that Eddie wasn't his. I mean,
Yeah.
it would be like a honeymoon baby any other situation. So
Well,
it
and
had
you
to have
have to
happened
remember,
after they
too,
got married.
I was
You
just gonna
have to
say that,
remember
yeah.
too, Conrad did like grab her by the hair in that one episode and tell her, "Remember who you belong to."
Yeah, you're
I was
mine.
going to say it does almost imply like there has probably been an on again, off again thing, and that, like I said to begin with, it's pretty clear now that, and Maeve even kind of hinted at that the only reason that he set Kevin and her up is just so he could keep her close, right? Because he likes to have his little women around. Like same thing with Seraphina's mother, who I'm sure we'll find out that Maeve had
Yeah.
done. It.
The only problem with that, though, is how would everybody else have known that Eddie was Conrad's if it was later? I mean, it almost feels like she had to be pregnant when they got married for that portion of the story to work.
Perhaps,
But it also feels like
it doesn't necessarily.
it had to have happened after they were married, but then nobody would
Dude.
know that it wasn't Kevin's.
As a member of a big family, let me tell you something. There's those certain family secrets that everybody
Yeah.
knows, but the one fucking person who should. Right?
But there
The
wouldn't
one
be any way
person
for
who
them
everybody
to,
else is like, "Don't tell this person."
Exactly. Yeah.
They can never find out. You
But
can
without
know,
the
but they
test, there wouldn't
can't
be
know.
a way for anybody to know unless she was already pregnant when they got married.
It could go both ways. I could see it going both ways. I see where you're coming from, Brahma, and I could see it being as like, okay, you're knocked up. I'm going to marry you off to Kevin. That way he thinks it's
Right.
his kid. Maeve thinks it's his kid. She was too smart for that.
But it would
I
have had
think-
to be real early in a pregnancy for
Right.
Kevin to not
So-
figure out
But at the
dates.
same time,
Hold
if
on.
they're actually being, a married couple already, and he does something to her, whether it was consensual or not on her part, because that's another thing. If Eddie was even conceived in an SA situation, that would make him even much more deplorable, right? Like,
Right, but how
So,
would the rest of the
just-
family know that that was who knocked her up and not Kevin? Because assuming
it doesn't matter.
they're
At that
having
point, he
sex
just
because they
knows.
are a married couple, I mean, it would be just as likely Kevin's.
All right, so
Because Maeve
FYI.
probably caught him. God
All-
knows how many times fucking. Because she has cameras everywhere. I think.
Well, again, this was probably pre-camera given the age. They
Oh
weren't-
no, dude, we've had CTV for years, man, and I guarantee you, she was one of the. She's that type of person.
The
You can
only
tell.
place they said they had him was the barn. So
She
unless-
said that.
Maybe they did it in the
said
barn.
that.
I'm no.
Maybe they
Tom,
went for a roll in the hay.
There's absolutely no
Yes.
chance they have cameras wired in their main
Maybe.
house.
I don't
No,
know. I
it's
wouldn't
a
put it past
0%.
Maeve at some point.
0% chance. You don't wire
And it doesn't
your
take
house
much
that
for her
you
to
talked
catch him
about
in the
killing.
act, and she seems to know. Like kind of like how everybody knows that Eddie and fucking Harry's daughter are doing it, even though they're trying to be all sneaky.
Yeah.
Because she
You didn't
threw
need
it in her
Girls have a
parents'
certain
face.
glow.
She threw it in her parents' face on purpose.
Yeah, she did.
That was
At
she
that
wasn't.
point, but
We're
yeah,
She
hung up
wasn't
on
hiding
silly
it.
shit. Let's move
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
yeah. Let's move the fuck on. Seriously.
All right. So Bella goes all in with Kevin, so shares her trauma and says,
Yeah, we'll see how this
"I'm with
plays
you."
out.
Yeah, they trauma bond. It's beautiful. Blah blah. Move
Then
This
we
is the
get
other
to-
one I'm curious how you guys react to. Yeah.
Because Jan,
Best scene
so,
in the
yeah.
episode.
So Jan is angry, preparing dinner, dealing with the emotional trauma of everything that happened today. Harry comes back, says that Richie's dead. We're all good. We can go home now. And Jan's probably rightfully like, what the fuck are you talking? Like just acting like it's normal. That we've been moving from safe house to safe house, that dead bodies are everywhere where we were. Like, this is not normal. She's having like a full-on breakdown. Harry's trying to talk with her. She doesn't realize the number one rule is you don't kitchen prep while you're having an emotional fight. Because
Not if you're retarded, you don't.
I thought knives were banned in Britain anyway.
yeah, it's because she
Idris Elba hasn't gotten his way yet.
This was actually the inciting incident that led to the law.
yeah, so this is great. So Harry's just trying to talk with her, like reaches over towards her, does this, and she thinks she's just shoving him away. And then you get the reveal. Because she
Knife was still in the hand.
She has stabbed him. And the location is the upper right. It would be a punctured lung. It would be the most likely major injury.
Most likely.
Given with the location of where this knife is. So, because you can see him
Punctured lung, but he keeps talking afterwards, and there's like no blood bubbling or anything out of his mouth.
Well, the knife is
like
well,
that.
as long as you leave the knife in,
yeah,
Sure.
you'll be okay.
Well, that's the
Don't
thing. Yeah,
take it out. At one point, it looks like he reaches up, and then he's like, "Wait, no, that's a bad idea."
yeah. So so he's, and this is great. He's just oh, there's a knife in me now. So he stumbles out of the kitchen and he sits down, and this is the part where Slender's all. He reaches over, he stops himself, and he gives one of the best line deliveries to Jan. Like, as this trauma is going on, he's like, "Well, you have my undivided attention now. Like, you've managed to stab me," and it even makes her chuckle, which is good.
That was my weird thing. Is like, did she do it on subconsciously purpose? Like,
No, it was an accident. She was.
I mean, I get it that it was kind of an accident, but at the same time, it was like, was it really an accident?
We call this therapy by Ginsu.
Yeah.
But I also think it throws into doubt our predictions that her and what's the daughter's name, Gina, are going to be taking a separation after this.
No.
I think she was on the road to separation.
It throws
and
into
then-
doubt your prediction. I did
never
not
thought,
agree
yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
I said I could.
She
see
was
that
about
too,
to do
but
it.
yeah, to
I
be
mean,
fair.
she was basically saying that she was going to
Yeah.
separate with him right before she
Yeah.
stabbed him. I think that's going to force her to stay with him.
I think
Dude,
so
Harry's
too.
a fixer. He'd have fixed it.
I'm with Brahma on this one. Like, she was ready to leave, and then this shit happened. Yeah.
Now this is when I was giving my the knife sequence with Harry, and then this sequence with Pierce Brosnan, because it was just so epic. Like,
I thought at one point before that epic part started that somebody might have shivved him.
that's what I was, because the
I
guy
was
right
hoping
behind
might
him.
have happened.
You
I
see the
was
guy
really
right.
hoping.
Yeah, I thought, like, if you see the guy right behind him in this frame,
That's what I was gonna say.
he's
earlier,
he's
yeah.
like kind of reaching behind him. I thought
and
he was
that
gonna
might be where the
yeah.
second season starts. It could pick right up, and here you guys are right, because that's what I thought too. That was my first thought.
So I'm gonna let this play just for a minute with no sound because it's got the audio. So he is just walking through the prison. Everyone's being quiet right now, and then he gets, because at this point the prison grapevine has got word that Richie's gone, that Conrad 100 Guns Harrigan, or whatever his name was, has won the war. And they are all giving him the round of applause for being the victor. And he's reveling in this shit, man. Look at this. And Pierce Brosnan is just leaning into it so hard.
See, I wasn't a big fan of this. I would think if one crime family takes out another crime family and one of the guys is in prison, I wouldn't see why all the prisoners would be on the side of a guy just because he won a mob war.
Because
some of those guys were probably Richie's put away at some point.
Richie's not around anymore, so you better cheer for Conrad. Like, if you're, even if
I don't
you
know.
were
I
Richie's
could
Or you
take
don't
or
do
leave this
anything.
scene. I thought it was. I was like,
I thought it was goofy.
Yeah, I didn't care.
I feel like, It reminds me if you ever hear the stories when the mob guys talk about when Gotti was in prison, like when he would get not the final time when Sammy the Bull turned on him, but those initial times when he got the Teflon Don reputation for beating the charges, but he was in prison while they were doing it. He apparently had hero worship. All like people were doing this, not like full on like everybody applauding, but when he would walk by, people would be like clapping, cheering. Like the celebrity gangster, I think is a thing that happens in real life for those guys. What I also liked is if you see where it's framed, like when it gets to the part here where he starts double gunning, it's in the direction they show you in one of the frames that's where the guards are. So he's just giving the middle finger and grabbing himself to the guards to, like, I'm the boss. So I thought it was a good one. And then they obviously the music choice, which I can't play because we'd get claimed and knocked off immediately. The music choices in this movie were not movie, but this episode were great. It started with that great Johnny Cash.
I didn't know how I felt about using that Johnny Cash song.
Written and originally recorded by Nick Lowe, who's a great English rocker and who was Johnny Cash's son-in-law for many years. He married Roseanne Cash, so his son-in-law wrote that song.
But yeah, when you get Johnny Cash it's I don't know. I thought it was a great, especially for the context of the episode.
And they used the Nick Lowe version in The Sopranos.
Yep.
No, I mean, I don't disagree. The song definitely worked for the scene. I just wasn't big on the song. It's not one of my favorite Johnny Cash songs.
Oh, I just think it works for this episode really well. I mean, for Kevin, you could have played "Hurt" by Johnny Cash.
I would have preferred "Hurt."
Opened it with "Hurt," ended with
my
this one.
butt today.
But yeah, so I love the way they ended this season because Conrad is so delusional. He's just soaking it up like he's the king of the roost here.
Man.
It almost made me wonder at one point if he didn't get shivved there. Now he's just fucking dead, and he's imagining this.
He's living up, and he had nothing to do with the
victory. Or if he's so fucking over the moon at this point that when they call him and they're like, "Listen, we're gonna get you out," he's like, "No, leave me in here.
But he didn't.
I like it in here better."
He didn't earn any of this. He had nothing to do with the war being won. Nothing.
Yeah, that's how mobs work.
Well, that's what I like 70s is Kevin came and visited him and told him that he was going to do all this. And he's still soaking it up like he was responsible. Like, so I think it's going to be the conflict because on the one hand, Kevin is doing what he would want, right? To be the heir apparent, to be taking over and taking care of the Harrigan business by getting rid of Richie. But, there's going to be a conflict when they get out. And from the way, just look at the way Harry and Kevin were talking, they're still going to keep Maeve and Conrad
dangling
around.
on the hook for a little while.
They're not going to kill them at the moment. That's not the plan. The plan is to retire them from active control, apparently. And we're going to see. I think that's going to be the conflict next season. Is going to be that Kevin and Harry are trying to remove Conrad and Maeve from being in control, and they're going to be fighting against that.
Probably.
While at the same time dealing with Kat and her shenanigans. So Kat is going to be whispering things to Serafina to try to get her to, jump ship. Conrad and Maeve are going to be trying to reassert their control against Harry and Kevin. And Harry and Kevin still have to deal with Kat. I think that's the dynamic for the season. It'll be, and there's enough there that they can have a lot of stuff to work with. And I'm sure they'll add other points in, but it was. I thought it. I really enjoyed the way the way it was shot for the ending, with Conrad now going full nuts in the prison, enjoying his victory, because it wasn't really his victory, which makes it, more interesting from a conflict and story standpoint. So that brings us to the end of season 1. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
Well, bugger it.
Now the 2-year wait.
I don't know if it's going to be... Is it said going to be 2 year?
It's how every streaming show does. You get the first season finally renewed, and it's 2 years before they get it out the next one.
Yeah, they're terrible at post-production.
I don't know. Well, they got to write. If they actually wait till they have scripts written that are good, I'll give them a little more leeway. Because if they rush into additional production and they just don't have any scripts, it's not gonna. I don't want this show to be a one great season and then immediately diminish. Fingers crossed that's not the case. I don't think it's going to be a problem for these guys, but we'll see. The time will tell if they can pull it off, but I like to think that they're going to actually do well and keep it going. Like, I think I see a lot of Sopranos in this show. And what did Sopranos last 6 seasons?
I don't know. It was a little more
Never
than
watched
that.
it.
I think it was 7 at least. I think. But that's why I like the use of the song "The Beast in Me," because that was a nod to the Sopranos. That song was used in the Sopranos.
Mm-hmm. So,
Clay. England may not be around in 2 years.
It might not.
It won't be English.
Very unlikely.
yeah, well, they already showed that Harry ran through some people in Antwerp that tended to lean towards the other persuasion pretty effectively. So that might be something he has to deal with. God help them if they burn a certain book accidentally, because there's blasphemy laws apparently now.
All right, moving on.
Moving on.
That is conversations for the bullpen.
I got something real quick for you guys. Parry this, you effing casual. This just makes me think of you guys playing those games where you constantly have to parry and move.
Well, we're about to go play one of those
Expedition
games.
33.
Yeah.
And we don't do a whole bunch of parrying in Night Rain.
No, none of us play the Executors, so.
Isn't that the gameplay style that they always lean into?
No.
Well, I mean, yeah, Souls is a lot easier if you can parry, but it's not required.
And honestly, Sekiro
really
leaned in heavy on the parries, and then the other Souls games, you don't ever have to parry. You can dodge.
You're not
Or you
required to.
Or you can do other things. Like, it really depends on what play style you're going for.
All right.
It's free damage if you do parry, though.
And
It
the
is.
last little thing before we pop out, I just wanted to show you this, guys. You remember the story that Andy Serkis was doing a Animal Farm movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I completely didn't expect it to be a Disney-style animated movie. I thought he would be doing more, photorealistic kind of Planet of the Apes thing. But for Slender, especially, I'm going to play this little clip because you're going to love who he got to do this voice, because it's one of your
If it
favorites.
is Seth Rogen, I will end the stream.
Seem lucky, and I'll help you decide what's right. I'm proud of you, kid.
A Machiavelli production. The stream's now behind, but there's no need to be glum. We'll return with more jests, with humor to come. So click that damn subscribe and let the good vibes thrive. For the next grand stream, we'll surely jive.
Ascend and I, we've charted the street with synapses sparking, hilarity you can't believe.
You brought your joy, so now you must go. But keep the party in your heart, yo. Keep the giggles, keep the banter, keep the screens to light. Until our next stream, keep the fun in sight. In this virtual voyage where streams do end, remember with Ascendant art, we'll always fucking ascend. Oops, we forgot about Imp, he's bound to reappear. With chaos in his wake, all we can do is persevere. Are you happy now, Imp?